anche Conselice, ha adottato, sta predisponendo il PAESC di Unione, quindi come obiettivo di territorio comune. Dico questo perché noi siamo molto interessati a sviluppare questa conoscenza, approfondimento sugli adattamenti ai cambiamenti climatici e perché Conselice ha una storia legata all'acqua. È emersa dall'acqua e ad oggi registra proprio molto interesse per l'acqua, sia per l'agricoltura sia per l'industria. Quindi il caso che vi verrà presentato, e ringrazio Marta 40, propone, vi fa conoscere Conselice. Quindi conoscenza è importante come il confronto con tutti voi, in modo tale da sviluppare maggiori azioni per il futuro. Quindi vi rinnovo il ringraziamento e l'augurio di buon lavoro.
Okay, thank you, Paola. I will just briefly translate. So Paola, welcome all of you to the municipality of Conselice. It's a pity that it's only virtual, this meeting. Conselice is part of a union of 9 municipalities, and now we are hosted in the Salone Estense, which is a meeting room in the municipality of Lugo. So then Paola just introduced a little bit the municipality of Conselice and the fact that the water is the main element here. This territory was, let's say, reclaimed from water during the 19th century. So we are still dealing with the water management in this territory. Afterwards, in my presentation, I will briefly introduce the context of this municipality and this territory. I would like just now to give the floor to Nadia Carboni, who is responsible of the Europe office in Union in Bassa Romagna.
Thank you, Marta. Good morning to everybody. I'm very glad to join you in this workshop, even if, as Paola Pula said just before, we would have liked to host you here in Bassa Romagna, because I mean, this is a hospitable land. We have many attractions related to the historical and artistic part of the region, but also a beautiful nature with natural reserve sites to be visited. So we hope that in the future you can come here and enjoy our land. Given that, as Marta said, I'm responsible for the European office, but also for the strategies related to the local territorial development. The Union of Bassa Romagna Municipality, as the mayor said, is made of 9 municipalities. The biggest one is Lugo, which counts around 40,000 people, and the smallest one is Bagnara di Romagna, which is around 1,000 people living there. So all the whole territory is around 100,000 people. These 9 municipalities almost 10 years ago decided to join together in order to pursue a best optimization related to public services and administrative costs. But the strength of this union is especially related to the political willingness of acting as a whole territory. So we are very glad that Conselice is part of this European project, because it represents, you know, the whole territory at the European level, especially related to this very important and strategic issue concerning the climate change. and the use of water and the security of the territory about this aspect. So we really hope that the results of this European project and the model we are going to be developed thanks to this pilot taking place in Conselice can help in order to deal with the risks related to climate and to the climate change. I don't want to go ahead so long, but I would like to stress the political willingness of the Union of Municipality relating to the environmental protection and the sustainability development. In fact, we, as political mandate, we have three main assets related to the attractiveness, to the sustainability, and to the innovation of our territory. And almost 10 years are gone that the Union has decided to invest on this project that is called Green Future, and it's a big project, a highlight project related to the sustainable development. And so we have been developing many projects related to these thematic issues, and we got European funds. Just to cite an example, we have been working with school by Energy at School. It was funded by Interreg Central Europe European funds, and we developed some methodologies and a kit in order to develop a cultural behavior for energy saving. And now we are working to capitalize this project with a target related to public buildings in order to save energy. And moreover, we got some funds by URBACT program related to food policy. So we are now working on creating a new governance in the food policy, and even innovative projects related to and health, food, and so to a sustainable development of the territory according to different lines, like food waste or territorial marketing or innovation related to startup and laboratory. So as Marta and Paula said, this is a territory with a strong vocation to agriculture and to agri-food and agri-industries. So we would like to go ahead with this line. So thank you very much. I hope this workshop will be full of food for thoughts, and so good work, and see you here in Bassa Romagna. Bye.
Prego, Nadia. Thank you. So, well, thank you very much, Nadia, for introducing the region to the rest of the attendees. Thank you also, grazie, Paola, for introducing yourself to the rest of us. So I will very briefly introduce you to the agenda of the workshop, and then I'll leave the floor to Robert to talk about a little bit about CRISI-ADAPT 2 and the progresses that we've made so far. So just let me share a little bit. So I hope that you should be looking at the agenda right now. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay. So just as you know, very briefly, this is the main agenda of the workshop. It's pretty, it's the same as the one that you've been able to download from the invitation. So as you can see, well, we are in the first block, which is before the virtual coffee. We've just heard Paola and Nadia Carboni from Conselice. We'll listen to Robert just in a few seconds. And then we'll be having a small virtual coffee at almost 9:45. and then we'll dive right into the technical workshop. I'll be doing a small guideline sessions just before the technical session itself starts, so don't worry about that. We'll be having the lunchtime right in the middle of the technical session so that you can have a rest. You can rest for all the work if you need to, and then we'll be wrapping up the workshop at about 2 p.m. so we can have a closure of the workshop. I hope that this will turn out pretty well and that you will enjoy it. So let me stop sharing the screen. Then I'll leave the floor to my colleague Robert Monjo from the Climate Research Foundation so that he can introduce the rest of you to the project and the progress it's made so far.
Thank you, Cesar. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. Okay, good morning. This talk is to share the progress of the CRISI-ADAPT 2 project and to show some expectation from this workshop. But let me to make a short summary briefly for the what is the CRISI-ADAPT 2 project. We need to identify the climate-related challenge for each case. General challenge is to the technical and temporal gap between the climate risk analysis and the implementation and the operation of the resilience plan. To address this challenge, this gap, we address with customized climate services on a continuous time scale to reduce with information, with the specific information co-designed by end users in a real-time validation. So the key idea of the project is this continuous time scale from the century to the current time. The century time scale is to identify the climate, the future climate risks, but also the current climate risks, and the seasonal and weather forecast is to monitor and validate the adaptation measures considered by the climate risk identified in all the scales. So the project has 4 demonstrations, one in flooding and emergency response in Malta, the second water management for supply, agriculture and environment in Andalusia, Spain, energy planning in La Catamia, Cyprus, and port infrastructures and operations in Valencia, Spain. The project was divided in 6 technical work packages: the initial information, climate information, impact information, the integration platform for all this information, including the 5 work packages and the 6 what is concerning to the training, adaptation and replicability, and the forging resilience to link to other European projects. So with this general scheme, we have a lot of work done. When and where are we? Today we are here in the end part of the second year of the project, and particularly the work package more intensive currently is the timing adaptation tasks. For the previous work done, all the identification of climate information, vulnerable elements, users profile, user needs, impact informations, and the integration of most of this information, including climate and seasonal and most of impact analysis, but the integration of cost-benefit analysis is pending, is working now, and workshops for the work package 5. So as Cesar, we will introduce in a few minutes, the decision support tool is specific for each case, especially due to the vulnerable elements that depends of its hazard risk identified. So what are we doing now? We are working in the seasonal time scale. We are implementing the risks in seasonal forecast, but it's not available for this this workshop, of course. But the idea will be similar to the climate time scale. So we identified risk in a general way, and we can to apply both climate and seasonal or weather time scales. So what is the goal? The goal of the project. The goal is a decision support tool to sorry, one moment. Okay, admit. It's a decision support tool to make a complete assessment of the all the decision making process. The first part is the identification of the impact and risks according to some climate drivers at climate time scale, extreme events, or average mean climate events, and to change the vulnerability functions, changing the vulnerable elements, and to reduce the impacts, to reduce the risks. According to this reduction, we will make a cost-benefit analysis and make decisions accordingly. So the validation of the measures will be performed thanks to the seasonal forecast, and finally we will review all the entire process accordingly to these validation measures. Where are we? We are here in this step, in the first steps, but is completed for all the integration information of climate and vulnerable functions, the functionalities of the tool for time horizons, return period, etc., as Cesar will introduce in a few moments. So that's all from my side. This is a brief summary of the project, but I think that this is more detailed in the next explanation of Cesar. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Robert, for the brief introduction of CRISI-ADAPT to the participants of the workshop. So just not to run out of time, let's move to the introduction of the Conselice case study from our colleague Marta Quaranta. I'll leave the floor to her, and then we'll get a small coffee break before the technical session starts.
Yes, thank you, Cesar and Robert. I will just, okay. So yes, I prepared a few slides to introduce the case study of the municipality of Conselice. Just a minute, because I see that slides are not exactly like I prepared them, because I changed the computer. Okay. Okay, just I would like briefly to mention that I would like to thank the participant from the Italian side, because I know we are many. And that's why I decided to prepare this presentation in Italian. I mean, the slides are in Italian, and I will speak English in order to reach all the other participants of this workshop. So I would like to introduce the case study. As Robert said, we are one of the receiving regions. So we are the regions where the results and tools developed within the project will be replicated and implemented. The content of this. Okay. Okay. So in this presentation, I will just give you a glance about the governance of climate change in the Bassa-Romagna Union of Municipalities. Then I will show you the objectives of this workshop. And I will then briefly introduce you in this territory. As Paola and Nadia already said, I will provide you with some information about risks and management of water as a precious resources in this territory. And I will also introduce you to the climate scenarios in our region. Then I will briefly state some strategical objective of the administrations of the Union of Municipalities, and I will provide finally some hints for the discussion that will take place later on within the workshop. The governance of climate change is managed in Bassa-Romagna in different ways. First of all, the City Planning Office is developing the action plan for sustainable energy and for climate, as Paola already mentioned. And this is involving, of course, the different services and offices within the municipality of Conselice and the whole Union of Municipalities of Bassa-Romagna. Then it's important to mention the civil protection, because they deal with the emergencies, and as climate change is changing, also the impact on the territory is changing, and civil protection has a central role in dealing with this events. Then I would like to mention the environmental education office. I'm working for this service with my two colleagues, Sonia and Valentina. And it's very important the role we have in order to transfer information to citizens in order to let them become aware of this issue and the importance to tackle and to manage them. And then I should mention the Europe office, which is dealing with the European funding, and it's taking the interest of our union in Europe and vice versa. So the objective on the workshop today are to identify the climate problem we have in this territory, and then to apply and validate the two tools that were developed, the climate risk information tool and monitoring extreme events, as Robert explained. And it's important the today's workshop because we are dealing with the capacity building, that is to transfer information about how to use these tools to end users, which will be involved in order to receive from them feedback and just to exchange ideas about how these tools can be used and implemented and further implemented. The themes, the issues of interest of this territory, as already said, are the risk management and the safety of the territory and the management of water resource, both for agriculture and for the agro-food industry. So coming to the territory, as Paola said already, we are in a flat land, which was where land reclamation operation has taken place during the end of the 19th century. This is a map of the soil use. As you see, it has an agricultural vocation. You see maybe it's not really clear, but the yellow, the lighter part represent the arable land. And then the orange and red fields are those cultivated as vineyards and orchards. And then you see the blue lines and blue areas, which are the channels and rivers and the water basin. So you can see that water has a main role in this territory. I mentioned the agro-food industries. You see here a picture of the three main agro-food industries, which are Unigra, Sugital, and Golfera, and just a picture of their water needs, so the water they consume every year. And they take this, they draw water both from the well and from the aqueducts. As I said, I would like to give you also a picture of the climate scenarios. You see here some the two main variables that represent how the climate has been in these last 30 years compared to the reference period 1961-1990. You see that on the right, on the left, that the temperature has raised. This is the summer mean temperature. So the temperature has raised of about 2 degrees in this recent period compared to the previous one. While concerning rainfall, this is a picture of the seasonal anomalies, and you see that it's raining more in autumn while much less in the other seasons. How does the climate will be in the future? This is a projection of the next 30 years. And here you see highlighted some indicators that are representative to say that the temperature will increase, and this is demonstrated by the number of days of the tropical nights that will rise from 8 to 18. The length of the heat waves that will go from 3 days to 7 days, and the dry summer days, which will go from 21 to 28. The important to mention the weather, of course, is to say which will be the possible consequences and impacts of this changing on the territory, and will be a higher, the impacts will be the hydrological instability with higher flooding risk, soil degradation, and desertification, losing biodiversity and modification of ecosystems, losing agricultural production, just to mention some of them. So what the Union of Municipality does to manage these two issues, as I said before, we are interested in management of flooding risk and water for agriculture. So concerning the first part, the management of flood risk, this picture shows you the shows the a picture of our geographical information system, where it's possible to see the network of channels and rivers. It's possible to overlap the hazard map. Here in the map, you see the hazard related to the secondary network. It's important to mention that this map do not contemplate the pluvial flooding. These tools are also used and are also important to map and to map the historical events that took place in this territory. In order to let's say see and always remember which were the problem and how to fix them, let's say. And talking about flood risk, I must mention the alert system, the regional alert system, which has been recently renewed. The region, together with the ARPAE, the Regional Agency for Environmental Protection, and the Civil Protection Agency, provide a daily bulletin, meteo bulletin, but also the alerts during an event. That it's very important. They use a code color which is readily understandable by citizens, and it's used by mayors during events in order to follow the evolution of the event. I would like to mention the Life Primes, which was a project that that took place in one of the municipalities of Bassa Romagna, and it was an interesting project because it helped to implement the civic adapt action plans that are important to implement consciousness and adaptive capacity in order to be prepared to face negative events. So moving to the second main theme, that is water management both for agriculture and agro-food industries. I just report here, show you a slide which was taken from a meeting a couple of years ago that showed how the drought events are becoming more serious and more frequent in the last 20 years. Let's say, starting from this information, ARPAE, which is the regional agency, has developed many tools to provide both to farmers and also to the organization who manage water resources, to provide them data and forecasting concerning the availability of water. And coming to the territory of Conselice, how is the water? Where does the water come from? We take the water mainly from the Canale Emiliano Romagnolo, which is where water comes from the river, Po River. You see in this picture a map of the in dark green and blue, you see the territories in the upper part, the territories which are served by the pressure system. And in the light green, you see the territories where water is taken from channels. And I will just the information that I would like to give you is that this pressure system allowed to obtain a better water management, because you see here that water, the hydric balance, it's lower in this case, because the companies and farmers which are connected to this pressure system use a better, more efficient irrigation systems. They use more innovative and adequate irrigation methods. So providing you after I presented the context of this territory, I can tell you that the strategic objective of the administration are mainly concerning this water management, are mainly these three. So a better management of the irrigation network, both concerning the quality, the safeguarding of quality of water, and to let the consumers, the users, both agriculture and industry, becoming more aware of the right and the rational use of this resource. Then the second theme is the prevention, is the risk, flood risk prevention. And the administration is involved in a roundtable concerning hydraulic safety. And of course, we're always implementing the emergency management through the civil protection. And then finally, it's important to mention that we have to plan and to make projects by looking for fundings and to make cost-benefit analysis in order to realize new and more efficient infrastructures. I cannot avoid to mention the recent resilience and recovery and resilience plan, which has been just a few days ago sent to the European Union, because it foresees 15 billion euros to the safeguarding of territories and the water resource. And in particular, there are two topics that regards the management of hydrogeological instability and vulnerability of territories, and also a better management of the safety, a better management of the quality of the resource, of the water resource. Finally, as I said, I would like to give you a hint for the discussion which will take place later on in different rooms. We identified an area where it could be feasible to realize a basin for water, which will have a water reservoir, which can have a dual use, both for as a water reservoir for agricultural needs, but also a detention basin to in order to receive water during a flooding event. And it is placed exactly at a crossing point of a channel and a canal, and of drainage and a channel. Okay, that's all from my side. I thank you all for the attention.
Grazie, Marta. So thank you. And well, as you know, I said that we will be going to a small coffee break, so you can just move the legs a little bit. Maybe let's get 3 more minutes. That what was scheduled. So I'll see you all back in 10 minutes at 5 to 10, and then we'll go straight to the technical session, right? So,
okay.
See you right now.
Thanks.
From their cameras, so I'm not really sure if I can start or. Well, yeah, let's give it a go. So let's start with the technical session. First, I want to apologize since I was meant to introduce you to a sort of virtual space to allow you to chat with each other and hang around just a little bit during the break. I completely forgot. But since we are going to have 2 more breaks during your technical sessions, I will just introduce you to this website right now in the guidelines, so that you can use it whenever you feel like doing so. So let's go with the guidelines. I'll just share my screen. Okay, just let me know whenever you can see it.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So as you know, right now we'll be going into the technical session, which is the core of the workshop. This is just a very basic guidelines for all of you, since you'll be after the guidelines, you'll be forwarded to your own room. In there, you'll be having your case facilitator of the case of Malta or wherever you're in. He or she will be the ones introducing you to the tools and explaining you what's about to be done in the technical session. So as you know well, the time frame or the technical session is from now until almost 2 p.m. We're going to be splitting it into 3 parts that I'll be explaining right now. So as you know, the description of this workshop is this is a testing workshop, a testing of the functionalities of the CRISI-ADAPT. As you know, as Robert just explained before, when he introduced you to CRISI-ADAPT, the main output of this project is developing a series of tools, in this case 2, which are the CRIT and the MIT. These 2 tools are being customized for each of the case studies. So we have developed a set of tools for each of the cases, one for Malta, one for La Catamia, one for Andalusia, Valencia, and another one in this case for Conselice. As you know, we have 4 demonstrator cases participating in this workshop, and another one which is the replicability or the receiving case, Conselice in this case. You might be aware of it, we've been suffering or struggling with some difficulties related to the budget in the project. So unfortunately, the receiving case, in this case, Conselice, has been a little bit laid down in this case, but well, we still have been doing our best to develop what we could. During this technical session, you'll be seeing what's being developed for you. The tool will be shown by the case facilitator in its room, and you will be having the opportunity to play with it, so as to say, to test it and to ask all the questions that you want. And fortunately, you'll be having quite an interesting discussion about this. So the 3 main parts of the technical session we're about to go are: the first one, the guidelines, which is currently what I'm doing. The second part will be the working groups. So we've been listening to all of you regarding the past 2 workshops. We know that in the past workshops we gave you very little time to discuss and to talk, to test everything. We know that some of the technical sessions were cut right in the middle of a discussion, and this is the core of the workshop, so we want to give you all the time that you need. So you'll be having 130 minutes, which is more than 2 hours. And aside of this, you will also have 2 breaks of 10 minutes. These 2 breaks are to be distributed freely for the case facilitators. I mean, they are not scheduled, so just feel free to use it whenever you want. If you are having a really good discussion, or you're having more than 1 hour of technical session and you just want to take a break, feel free to do it. You have these 20 minutes to be distributed as you want. So in this technical session, I'll be distributing all of you into 5 different rooms. As you know, you've been forwarded a registration form by your case facilitator. in this form, you were asked to check or to say the case that you belong to, but in the case you haven't, I will be asking to you right after that. So I've assigned all of you to your respective room. You don't have to do anything after the guidelines. These guidelines end, you will just send to your room. In there, you will be meeting the rest of your colleagues, one case facilitator, and another person from the consortium that will be supporting him or her. In this room, you will just, testing the tool. I'll explain this right after. And this part will last until 12:30. In there, we'll be going right into the lunchtime. It's about 50 minutes, as you can see here. That went back. And after the lunchtime, we'll be coming all of you back to the plenary session, which is where we are right now, to summarize all the discussions that you had. The case facilitators will briefly introduce to me and the rest of the participants what's been treated in the rooms, and then we'll be having a small question and answers session for about 30 minutes, and that should be everything for today. So, well, you can see there in the part 2 a small link. I'll introduce to it right after this. Please remind me to do so if I forget. So just about the technical session, which, as you know, it's 130 minutes. This is a reminder for you case facilitators to take notes and record the session. You should be able to do so, since I made you all, I think, co-hosts of the session. And I'm just going to show you some pictures of what you're about to see, since the host of your room will, well, this is what he or she is going to do, to show you the tool in detail, to explain you everything, and to allow you to test it. So there are 5 different tools. I just won't be explaining everything because there's no point in doing that. This is just an example of the Cypriot tool, the one for L'academia. This is a quick view of, for example, what it looks like, the weather forecast part of the tool. As you can see there, you can see the whole of the Cyprus island with the L'academia municipality remarked, and in this case we got the maximum temperature layer displayed right above the island with a small graphic of the evolution of the temperatures for the next 10 days. As you can see, the interface of the tool is quite similar for all of them. So I hope that won't be a problem for you to understand. I must apologize because of the language. Probably the tool is going to be shown for you in Spanish or in English, depending on the language of your computer. We still have to work for further translations, but well, I hope that you manage to more or less surf in the tool. And this is another pic of the Conselice tool. There you have in the right. This is the climatology part of the tool for the mean climate into the future. So you have there a couple of peaks that you get when you click into a point with future temperature, depending on the scenario considered. And this is another peak of, in this case, the Maltese tool with the fluvial flooding layer right displayed above the island. Of course, you can zoom in, but this was just to give you a peek of more or less what you're about to see right now in a couple of minutes. So this is the division of groups that I just made. As I said, we are about to have 5 rooms, 4 for the demonstrator cases and another 1 for the Conselice case study. The case facilitators that will be showing you everything and introducing you to the tool are, as you can see there in the right. In the case of Conselice, is Olana Bojic and Luca Lucatelli from Aquatec. In the case of Malta, Nadia Thilman, Andrea Pandelli, also from Aquatec, but Nadia from Paragon and Andrea from Aquatec will be the ones hosting the room. In the case of Andalusia, we have Alberto and Emilio. In the case of Valencia, we have our colleagues Mercedes and Antoni. In the case of L'academia, since the room is going to be in Greek, Mirto will be the one leading the discussion, and I'll be staying here in the plenary room and moving from one room to another just to check that everything is going all right, and hopefully participate also in some of the discussions. So feel free, if you just want to move to one room to another, you should be able to do so. You can just click into the breakout rooms, which is on the bottom part of the call, and you should be able to move if you just want to take a look to what is being discussed in one another room. And this is very important. You should take notes of this. This is an example of the credentials for you to access the tool. We created a user and a password for, I think, that all of you that are here in the call. We just took your email, and this is an example, as you can see at the bottom of the presentation. For example, given a certain email, xyz@gmail.com, you know what is your email, the one that you gave us in the registration form. So your user would be what's just before the @ in this case, for example, xyz, and the password is the same for all of you, which is meteogrid. So take notes of this. The case facilitator, the host of your room, will give you the link address to the tool. And once you are given the link, you should be able to access the tool, as I said, with these credentials. The user is what you have right before the @ of your email, and the password is meteogrid for all of you. If you have some type of problem and you can figure out how to access, feel free to come back to the plenary session and ask to me, and I'll try to solve it out. And right before I send you to your respective rooms, I'll take 2 more minutes to talk about the webpage that I just forgot to do before for your breaks. So
pues yo te oigo a ti y ya está. Yo ahora
I'll be sharing the link. Wait a second, please, just in case you haven't noticed before. Hold on a second. Okay, I'll start sharing the screen. If you go to the chat right now, you should see a link, which is spatial.chat-us.fig virtual space. Okay, I'll share the screen again. There we go. So this is a general view of what you will see once you are inside this room. When you get into it, you'll be asked to give permissions about camera and microphone. Are you seeing the screen? Just to know.
Yeah.
Everyone is looking this fancy jacked thing. Okay, nice.
Yes.
So once you get in, you have this space. Right at the bottom of the bar, you have the microphone, camera permissions. You get this megaphone so that everyone can listen to you. And the functionality of this is, well, this is your avatar, the one with the capital letter of your name, and you can move freely in the room. As you get close to someone, you'll start listening to each other, and as you move away, you'll stop listening to each other. So you can create small groups to have chats and conversate. And if you just get close to 3 or 4 people, you will only listen to each other. Okay, so you can.
Cesar, excuse me. I just wanted to explain for some of the Italian participants who may not have understood
Sure.
everything.
Sure, just give me 2 seconds and I'll let you do it. So that's the main point of this. You can move around, form groups, talk to each other, have small chats. If you just don't want to talk to someone, move away, get to another conversation, right? And you have another room, which is the chill room. And you have a pool Mirto is having fun there, jumping into the pool. You have some music. So that should be everything. Feel free to use this in the 2 breaks that you have in the technical session. If you just want to talk to someone instead of doing it in the Zoom call, get into here and have fun. Marta, please.
Thank you, Cesar. No, volevo solo spiegare ai partecipanti italiani che magari potrebbero avere dei problemi insomma, potrebbero non aver compreso tutti i passaggi. Qui nella chat Cesar ha condiviso un link a cui è necessario connettersi per poter partecipare ai gruppi di lavoro, in particolare a quello che riguarda il capitolo di Conselice. Se qualcosa non dovesse risultare chiaro, scrivete pure nella chat o contattatemi telefonicamente. Grazie.
Thank you, Marta. That's really. So, being said, everything, use this link to get here in the breaks. Muting someone because. Sorry. Okay. I don't know why I'm listening to myself. Right now? Okay, sorry. Yeah. So, if you have any type of question regarding the guidelines, the virtual space, or your credentials, feel free to do it right now before I send you to your room.
Scusami, sorry Cesar, I misunderstood. I thought that this virtual space was the one where the groups were created.
No.
Quindi, scusate, tutti potete rimanere su Zoom e Cesar sta creando i sottogruppi. Ok. Scusate.
I'll be sending all of you right away to your room. Some of you might not be forwarded to your room because maybe I didn't identify you for the name that you have, or you just didn't say the room that you wanted to be directed to in the form. So after everything is gone, the ones that you're staying here in the plenary, I'll be asking you, where do you want to go? So don't worry. 1 second. So, I think that we're ready. Siete pronti? Istetemi? Ci vediamo dopo. Kalidas, quédase. See you now. Okay, so I think that the ones remaining here are the ones that I couldn't assign to a room. Francisco Solano, are you here? Yeah. Dime,
Yes.
dime
Okay.
dónde te mando.
Pues mándame, yo soy de Andalucía.
Andalucía,
Espérame,
¿no?
me está llamando Alberto.
Ya, te paso, ya está.
Cesar, I'm still here.
Yeah, sorry, Olympia. Let's go. Telemetora. So, we have Emilio, Andalucía. Ángela.
Hola, Ana, no, por mí no te preocupes porque me ha dicho Robert que vaya a las que entienda el idioma,
Vale,
vaya
pues,
saltando un poco, ¿vale?
Dime. Okay, Lorraine, where do you want to go?
Andalusia, please.
Andalucía, okay. Let's go there. Take into account that it's gonna be in Spanish. Okay. Jorge.
Sí, disculpa, yo creo que ya estoy en la de Malta, pero
vale,
lo tengo aquí como duplicado.
Estás en la
Salgo de aquí, ¿no?
Espérate, te mando por si acaso. Si no, vuelve y me lo dices.
Gracias.
Ok, Paulo.
Olá, direi que eu vou para Andalucía.
Andalucía, ok. There you go. So we got Sabatini, which used to be going to Conselice.
Yes.
Marina, I don't know if you're here, or Menegatti, or Mario Lul.
Malta.
Malta, Mario, okay.
Sì, grazie.
So we have the ones left are Marina. Marina, ¿estás por aquí? Sei qui? And Menegatti, I don't know. Are you here? Okay, I'll forward you to some of the rooms. Okay, the rest of you, haven't you been able to access your room? Stelios? Is εδώ? Stelios, μ' ακούς? And I can see Ines is here also. Ines, ¿estás por aquí? Vale, Ángela, ¿te paso a algún
Dime.
lado?
Pues me he unido a la de Malta, he intentado pasar a la de Andalucía, creo, y he hecho punch, pero vamos, se supone que debería tener permisos para meterme en la que quiera,
Sí,
¿no?
sí, deberías tener
Ok,
permiso.
ha petado el Zoom
Te
entonces.
mando a Andalucía entonces. Vaya.
Mándame a Andalucía. Venga, sí, mándame a Andalucía. Gracias.
Ahora. C'è qualcuno di voi qui? Virginia, Giacomo, Marina, Fabio, can you hear me? Okay, so I'll be just moving to some of the other rooms and see if everybody's fine. Stelios είναι στη Λακατάμι τώρα. Virginia, Nicoletti, Giacomo, Marina. Okay, I'm sorry about this. Let's wait 1-2 more minutes because there are still people here in the plenary room that maybe they are not able to access the other breakout rooms. I'm just trying to figure out what they are missing, and once I do, or if not, we'll just start moving from one room to another and checking out what's being discussed. So I don't know, I'll just use the chat because Okay then, so let's start maybe with Andalucía.
Días, y también pues podemos generar mosaicos para pues poder visualizar la información de cualquiera de las variables en, en una vista que nos permite pues comparar para la escala espacial que seleccionemos cuál es la evolución de cada una de las variables. Podemos seleccionar cuáles son las iteraciones, cuáles son los intervalos temporales que queremos tener entre las diferentes imágenes y la fecha de inicio y la fecha de fin de cada una de las presentaciones. Y por otro lado también podemos exportar esta información, ¿no? Estas serían las principales funcionalidades que vamos a tener presentes a lo largo de todas las secciones de la herramienta. Por otro lado, tenemos un mapa general, podemos consultar información general de la información de la cartografía base, en este caso proporcionada por el Instituto Geográfico Nacional, la escala. Podemos seleccionar también, aparte de en el eje temporal que tenemos en la parte superior, podemos seleccionar también la fecha y la hora para la cual queremos visualizar la información de las diferentes variables que podemos seleccionar en el selector de capas de la izquierda. Y estas es un poco las principales funcionalidades que vamos a incluir, que van a estar presentes en la herramienta. Y luego sí que va a haber pues, un selector de capas que, como decía, pues incluye temperaturas máximas y mínimas, humedades relativas, precipitaciones deterministas, rachas máximas de vientos y alturas máximas de ola, en lo que se refiere a las 6 horarias. Y en lo que se refiere a las diarias, temperaturas máximas y mínimas, humedades relativas y precipitaciones también. Por otro lado, en lo que se refiere a la información climática, vamos a tener esta otra sección donde podemos ver también, en este caso, las diferentes capas de temperaturas máximas, precipitaciones máximas diarias, rachas máximas de viento.
Ese mismo día, a diferencia de Sagunto, llegarán a los 31 grados, el día 15. Y lo mismo, pues, para, si queréis ver la racha máxima de viento, que es más interesante para puertos que para... Pues tenemos... Además, se pueden combinar campos, que esto siempre va muy bien. Todos los campos que tengamos seleccionados, si tengo seleccionado temperatura máxima, pues la dibujo o no la dibujo en función de lo que tenga, y lo puedo combinar con la altura de la ola. Aunque parece ser que esto aún está... Ah, claro, no está definido porque he pinchado dentro de tierra. Si hubiera pinchado en mar, sí que me la define. Mira, ¿lo ves?
Sí.
Aquí sí que lo define. Y además es bastante coincidente porque cuando sopla más viento hay más ola. Sí, que se ve muy bien. Vale, pues esto es el modelo del centro europeo. Si os dais cuenta, también puedes hacer zoom. Se puede, si en posteriores fases del proyecto, también se puede ampliar la resolución. Ahora mismo está, me puede corregir Luis, pero creo que la resolución es de cerca de unos 20 kilómetros, ¿no? De píxel. En el caso al menos de la ola, bueno, estos serían como unos 5 kilómetros, ¿no? 5 o 10 kilómetros. En el caso de temperatura sí que está los datos están corregidos y tienen una resolución mucho mejor. Y en el caso de viento, pues lo mismo, la precisión es bastante mayor, aunque la interfaz en este caso de la ola.
Settembre 2021, quindi in questo caso riusciamo ad avere delle previsioni di carattere stagionale che ci forniscono un'indicazione di, in questo caso, l'anomalia assoluta delle precipitazioni. E con questa barra, non l'ho detto prima, ma con questa barra in alto potete spostarvi lungo appunto l'asse del tempo, diciamo così, quindi arrivare anche a periodi, diciamo, periodi futuri che ovviamente più sono lontani e meno significatività avranno rispetto ai dati che sono stati caricati. Ecco, una cosa importante da dire è che in questi scenari meteorologici i dati vengono caricati ogni 12 ore o 24 ore, quindi questi scenari vengono aggiornati automaticamente ogni volta che si caricano dei nuovi dati. Gli scenari invece climatici di lungo periodo sono stati calcolati con dati, diciamo, statici, per cui quelli non vengono aggiornati ogni 12 ore o ogni 24 ore, quelli resteranno tali anche nei prossimi mesi. Se appunto quindi andiamo a vedere questi scenari climatici, vediamo, ecco, intanto vediamo che la mappa già di base può essere anche diversa, in questo caso c'è OpenStreetMap come riferimento, diciamo, cartografico. Possiamo sempre zoomare, possiamo fare una serie di elaborazioni tipiche dei sistemi informativi, e in questo caso siamo appunto allo scenario che vedete qui in alto a sinistra, climatologico di climatologia media, diciamo appunto uno scenario di clima che però non deve essere inteso come uno scenario, diciamo, unico, perché vedete qua in alto a destra avete una barra che può essere selezionata e può fornire diversi scenari. Questi scenari sono stati calcolati sulla base delle metodologie che utilizzerà anche l'IPCC nei prossimi rapporti, sono stati raggruppati secondo queste tre, diciamo, sezioni, quindi basso, medio e alto. Chiaramente ognuno di questi scenari ha previsioni diverse. In questo caso dello scenario climatico abbiamo queste variabili che possono essere selezionate, quindi temperatura massima media,
Virginia, are you still here? Let me try. Maybe this way you'll be able to. Okay, let's check the Maltese case.
There are other entities that we are working on to involve. For example, Andrea will later on mention insurance and money involved in tackling also risks that are resulting from these severe storms. And we are engaging with these people. Hopefully we will have them again joining us in a future workshop. And there are other entities as well, for example, the Environment Resources Authority, because again, we're talking about resources and management. So what we've been doing, as I said, we've been collecting data, which data has been feeding into the models that Andrea will be shortly sharing with. We would not have arrived where we are today had it not been for the great support that we have received from the various stakeholders, notably Malta Red Cross, Civil Protection, and George and his team. And the latter, George has opened also for us a number of doors when it comes to supplying of information, which unfortunately is not always easily available. So we were building block by block the information that you will see today. Also, Andrea from Aquatech, as well as the team of FIC, have also been instrumental in sourcing certain elusive data. I mean, for example, just to mention simple rainfall data, it took us ages to get it from the Malta MIA, the persons who own that data. Finally, we managed to get hold of that data. The same, we had challenges to obtain certain layers of data from the planning authority. So we're all, most of us work in Malta, we know how sometimes it is difficult to get this information. However, I'm happy to say that we are quite in a good place, and hopefully with the support of everybody, we can make a model, we can create this model that will be useful for us, not just now, but more in the future. I will not take any more time because we will have more time later on to discuss the tool and its implications and its applicability. So I would like now to ask Andrea to share with us his presentation and also to introduce the portal, the tool that has been developed. Thank you.
Okay, so thanks a lot, Nadia, for your introduction, amazing introduction. And let's share screen and describe a little bit the platform. Can you see the screen? Can you confirm it, please, if you're able to?
Δείχνει μας όχι μόνο θερμοκρασία, αλλά δείχνει μας και για την ποιότητα του αέρα. Σωστά, είναι ένα από τα options, τα layers που υπάρχουν πάνω.
Δεν υπάρχει ποιότητα του αέρα. Η ποιότητα του αέρα έπρεπε να έχεις local sensors για να ξέρεις.
Οκ, άρα δεν μπορούμε να έχουμε κάτι τέτοιο.
Όχι.
Προσθέσουμε εννοώ.
Που δάμε όχι, αλλά αν έχετε τα δεδομένα, π.χ. επειδή ξέρω ότι είχατε ένα project που βάλετε κάποια sensors,
ναι.
Αν έχετε τα δεδομένα, ίσως μπορούμε να κάνουμε integrate τα δεδομένα για να φαίνονται δαμέ.
Ωραία, που μπορεί να το βάλουμε να στέλνονται τα δεδομένα απευθείας στο συγκεκριμένο, στο δικό σας database, ας πούμε, για να γίνεται update με κάποιον τρόπο.
Ναι, να το...
Γιατί βασικό τώρα ζητούν και την ποιότητα του αέρα και να ήταν καλά να υπάρχει μέσα σαν option.
Ναι. Εντάξει, αφού τα πιάνετε που τα πιάνετε τα δεδομένα,
ναι, έχουμε sensors εμείς. Εντάξει, όχι παντού, αλλά τουλάχιστον έχουμε 2 sensors.
Ξέρετε σε μόρφη τα πιάνετε, ευκάλλει σας έναν Excel table, τι είναι, πώς είναι.
Νομίζω ευκάλλει τα και σε Excel, ναι. Ένα που τα χειρίζεται, που τα έπιασαν ουσιαστικά, μπορείς να τα πιάνεις και online ουσιαστικά, γιατί στέλνει με την... πώς το λέω, Λούση, στέλνει τα δεδομένα βασικά ή μπορείς να μπεις μέσα στο πρόγραμμα και να δεις την ώρα τα data.
Εντάξει, άρα να μιλήσουμε με τον IT που κάνουμε τούτο, με τους IT, να δούμε να μπορούν να πιάνουν τα δεδομένα που είναι τώρα και να τα φέρνουν δαμέ αυτόματα.
Okay.
Υπάρχει τρόπος να το προγραμματίσεις μέσω Python να βγαίνουν, απλά πρέπει να δούμε το access στα δεδομένα πώς γίνεται, αλλά και μαζί τους καταλάβουν καλύτερα.
Okay. Γιατί είναι πιο ολοκληρωμένο άμα να έχουμε και το θέμα της ποιότητας του αέρα.
Σίγουρα, σίγουρα. Ωραία.
Ευχαριστώ.
Μια χαρά. Και τούτο που σας είπα, ας πούμε, θέλουμε το ελάχιστη υγρασία, ας πούμε, και να πούμε τα μέσα στο play το animation και λέμε πώς το θέλουμε και κάνει μας το animation από μόνο του. Ταράσει από μόνο του και αλλάζει τα δεδομένα. Και μπορείς να το κατεβάσεις και το animation.
Μυρτώ, πώς φαίνεται όταν βάλεις και maximum temperature και maximum humidity?
Δεν ξέρω αν μπορείς, με το βίντεο εννοείς?
Όχι, δεν είναι ανάγκη με το βίντεο, αλλά για εμάς, πες π.χ. για το Δήμο, το οποίο εγώ θεωρώ ότι ο λόγος που τον ενδιαφέρει το πράγμα είναι για τους ευπαθείς τα άτομα μέσα στο Δήμο και να κάνουν κάποιες δράσεις και κάποιες ανακοινώσεις. Το σημαντικό είναι το temperature και το humidity μαζί.
Ναι. Βασικά μπορείς να δείξεις το αρχαίο τα layers και να χαμηλώσεις το opacity για να δεις πώς συνδέονται. Σε ευκολύνει έτσι, θέλεις με άλλον τρόπο?
Κοίταξε, το πιο ιδανικό, η αλήθεια είναι ότι για να μπορέσει να βγάλει συμπέρασμα ο Δήμος εν το temperature and humidity κάτω από το wet bulb index, κανονικά. the correct indicator and the wet bulb index. Για να ξέρεις. Επειδή βγάλει σου το σε human discomfort index. Και καταλαβαίνεις να μου το discomfort.
Ωραία, να το σημειώσω.
Το οποίο συνήθως εμποτούν το συσχέτιση και συνδυασμός με temperature and humidity.
Εντάξει, θα το σημειώσω. Φαντάζομαι είναι εύκολο, άμα έχουν τα basic data για τα δυο, είναι εύκολο να βγάλεις το...
Το indicator anyway δείχνει εμποτούν το equation, το οποίο δείχνει πώς συσχετίζονται. Πρέπει απλώς να βρουν το...
Ωραία.
Απλώς εκείνο είναι πιο χρήσιμο. Και εκείνο που επίσης χρησιμοποιεί το τμήμα επιθεώρησης εργασίας.
Οκ. Μια χαρά. Εντάξει. Σημείωσα το, θα το δούμε και τούτο. Ωραία. Άρα για τούτα τα δεδομένα έχουμε άλλη απορία ή άλλη ιδέα. Αλλιώς να προχωρήσουμε στα...
Έχω ερώτηση εγώ για τους συναδέλφους μας στη Λακατάμια. Τούτον το εργαλείο, ο σκοπός είναι για να δώσει έναν early warning σύστημα. Το τμήμα μετεωρολογίας όμως έχει το ίδιο. Εσείς χρησιμοποιάτε το τμήματος μετεωρολογίας. Εν τούτο που ήθελα να ξέρω, επειδή το τμήμα μετεωρολογίας στην Κύπρο, σε συνεργασία με την πολιτική άμυνα, προσπαθούν να βγάλουν τούτα τα early warning συστήματα. Και ήθελα να ξέρω κατά πόσον ως Δήμος πιάνετε ενημέρωση που το τμήμα μετεωρολογίας της Κύπρου και πώς σας τα δίνουν την πληροφορία.
Λουίτσα, γνωρίζω την απάντηση σε τούτον. Γνωρίζω ότι πιάνουν κάποια δεδομένα, αλλά πιθανότατα πρέπει να τα πιάνει το τμήμα η τεχνική υπηρεσία ουσιαστικά, για να μπορέσουν να καθοδηγούν τους εργάτες. Από ό,τι ξέρω ότι εμείς τώρα προσπαθούμε να στήσουμε κάτι, δεν έχει κάτι για να σου πω ναι, λειτουργά ή όχι. Το μόνο που εγκαιστήσαμε μέχρι στιγμής ήταν το πιλωτικό μέσω του Ευρωπαϊκού Προγράμματος του LIFE σε συνεργασία με το Τμήμα Περιβάλλοντος. Που είναι οι μετρητές που ανάφερα πριν, να το συνδέσουμε και με τούτο. Αλλά
εκείνο είναι ποιότητας αέρας όμως, από ό,τι κατάλαβα, Αθηνά, σωστά.
Πιάνει και θερμοκρασίες.
Πιάνει και θερμοκρασίες, αλλά όμως είναι το early warning system του τμήματος μετεωρολογίας. Αλλά η τεχνική υπηρεσία όμως μπορεί να πιάνουν. Θα μπορούσαμε να τους μιλήσουμε να γίνεται.
Να τους ρωτήσουμε, ναι.
Επειδή γενικά είναι μόνο και για το πρόγραμμα τούτο που μας ενδιαφέρει τούτη η ερώτηση, ενδιαφέρει μας και για το ΣΔΑΕΚ, δηλαδή το ΣΕΚΑΠ.
Ναι, οκ.
Ωραία. Κάτι άλλο για τούτον το κομμάτι?
Όχι.
Άρα πάμε στο δεύτερο το κομμάτι της μετεωρολογίας, που είναι εδώ με το Κοπέρνικους, που τούτα τα δεδομένα είναι seasonal. Δηλαδή, εποχιακά έχουμε δεδομένα για τους επόμενους 2-3 μήνες, βασικά. Κάπως έτσι δουλεύει. Σε τούτη την κλίμακα.
Μυρτώ. Ναι, συγγνώμη. Ναι, αν μπορώ να σας αποστηρίξω με κάτι, μόνο γράψε με στο chat. Και μπορώ να...
Στο chat?
Ναι, στο γενικό.
Τι έγραψε?
Ναι, πες μας.
Εννοώ ότι πρέπει να πάω from one room to another. I can stay here, δεν μπορώ να μείνω εδώ για πάντα.
Ναι.
Αν θέλεις κάτι, γράψε μου στο email κάτι να βάλω μέσα. Εντάξει.
Σεδάρμα, πού ξέρεις έτσι καλά ελληνικά?
Έμεινα στη Θεσσαλονίκη.
Γι' αυτό. Πολύ καλά τα ελληνικά σου.
Οκ. Λουίσα, είπες ότι θα ήθελες να έχεις το Thermal Discomfort Index μέσα στην εργαλεία επίσης. Ναι, αυτό πρέπει να είναι εύκολο να το...
Ναι, θεωρώ πως είναι, επειδή είναι συσχέτιση. It's just an equation.
Ναι.
Θεωρώ ότι είναι εύκολο, απλώς βοηθητικό και για μας και για εμάς, επειδή ως γραφείο υποστηρίζουμε την Λακατάμια στο σχέδιο δράσης αηφόρου ενέργεια και κλίματος. So the Sustainable Energy and Action Plan and Climate Action Plan. So that it's the Sustainable Energy and Climate Action Plan under the Covenant of Mayors. So La Academia has got this plan, and we as an office support them and do the monitoring and will do the reporting. So it's helpful for us to have it in that way.
Okay. Okay. Yes. Let people let Mirto know all the type of doubts that you have, and of course after the workshop, if we can work on that, I'm sure that for example, respect of this type of variables, that won't be a problem. So
I think so also. Yeah.
The things that are being displayed here is just the main variables that the ECMWF provides us. So there are of course more variables that we can just purchase, and other ones that they are really easy to calculate, and that shouldn't be a problem.
Great.
Επειδή θα πάω σε άλλη μέρα. Συνεχίζετε στα ελληνικά, παρακαλώ.
Ναι, θα χρειαστούμε κάτι.
Αδείο, τα λέμε.
Bye.
Bye.
Λουίζα, ερώτηση. Δεν παίρνουμε τίποτα δεδομένα ούτε από τη μετεωρολογική ούτε από την πολιτική, όπως μου είπες πριν.
Έστα στα στέλνω. Ερώτησα. Επειδή ξέρω ότι εν πράγμα που προγραμματίζουν. Δηλαδή,
como divergen y poder pues, incorporar esta información en diferentes informes y poder ver los resultados. Estas variables concretas que hacen referencia al caudal estarían referidas a la amenaza asociada al cambio climático, que en este caso sería pues, las reducciones de los caudales de las diferentes cuencas hidrográficas. Por otro lado, en base y considerando esta información como una entrada para un modelo de evaluación del riesgo y del impacto de los cambios asociados a las reducciones de caudales, se pueden también visualizar cuál es el impacto, pues tanto para la flora como para la fauna de los diferentes segmentos de la cuenca hidrográfica, y también pues, podemos visualizarlo para los diferentes escenarios y para los diferentes periodos de retorno. Esta evaluación de impacto se ha hecho pues, considerando diferentes umbrales de las variaciones de caudal, de las reducciones de caudal, de manera pues, que reducciones de caudal a partir de unos umbrales se han considerado extremas dependiendo de la vulnerabilidad, en este caso, de los dos elementos que se han considerado, ¿no? Por un lado la flora y por el otro lado la fauna, que está asociada al final al caudal y a la disponibilidad de recursos hídricos en el sistema. Y por último, veríamos también los propios riesgos. En este caso, una de las funcionalidades importantes que ofrece la herramienta es la posibilidad de visualizar cuáles son en cada tramo del río concreto, de la cuenca de los Garganta, en este caso, cuáles son, en una tabla se pueden ver los cambios del caudal para las diferentes vulnerabilidades y los diferentes umbrales considerados. El valor que aporta la herramienta en este sentido es que todos estos valores son editables y el propio usuario los puede modificar para poder generar simulaciones de este riesgo en diferentes escenarios. Es decir, se pueden definir escenarios de adaptación al cambio climático y escenarios tendenciales en las que no se implementen medidas de adaptación al cambio climático, o diferentes escenarios posibles con diferentes medidas de adaptación que puedan afectar a la exposición, la vulnerabilidad y el riesgo de los elementos que forman parte de este sistema, y se pueden editar y volver a generar estas simulaciones una vez modificados los valores. De modo que se puede al final llevar a cabo esa evaluación del impacto del cambio climático en escenarios de mayor, de menor o de ninguna adaptación, lo cual pues permite también pues, obtener información relevante a la hora de implementar, diseñar esas medidas de adaptación, en este caso para en lo que se refiere a la sequía hidrológica en una de estas cuencas. Pero como decía, esta misma metodología sería exportable y también pues, las propias los propios criterios que se han llevado a cabo a la hora de generar esta evaluación, es decir, los umbrales a partir de los cuales según qué variaciones medias de caudal se han considerado riesgos más o menos altos, también eso podría ser modificable. En este caso, si en los planes hidrológicos, etcétera. Esta sería la principal funcionalidad que ofrece en este caso para el piloto de sequías hidrológicas. No sé si hay alguna pregunta respecto a esto o Emilio quizás quieras completar un poquito alguna cuestión que me haya dejado o matizar algún comentario antes de pasar a la parte de piezometría.
Nada, comentar que aquí el punto fuerte de la plataforma es que internamente se pueden definir los cálculos y, como ha explicado Alberto, haciendo variaciones se recalcula toda la información y se vuelve a regenerar los resultados que estamos viendo en la plataforma. De manera que tanto con estas fórmulas como con otras que se pudieran derivar o evolucionar, la flexibilidad está en que los resultados no están asociados a los propios datos de partida, de manera que podemos hacer esas modificaciones, simulaciones o estudios que queramos hacer sobre qué puede pasar, ¿no? Y poder volver a calcular la información que hemos metido en el sistema y obtener esos resultados. Con ello, la plataforma se convierte en una herramienta que gana ese dinamismo y que en otros casos, pues los resultados que se cargan muchas veces en estos visores no tienen esas ventajas. Y aquí, pues lo que hemos intentado es que pueda mantenerse viva el máximo tiempo posible. Por ejemplo, si la distribución espacial de ese objeto que estemos analizando, si te acercas a la imagen, Alberto, veis que ahora mismo él, si quisiera, ya podría modificar sus vértices y añadir esas modificaciones geométricas de manera directa, ¿no? Es decir, tenemos esa flexibilidad ya de por sí implementada en la plataforma de darle un dinamismo al elemento que se ha introducido para que pueda estar permanentemente actualizado. Y esto enlaza con la parte de los niveles piezométricos que si quieres, Alberto, la explicamos ya, porque en cierta manera nosotros podemos incorporar en el sistema, como digo, ya habéis visto muchas informaciones de diferentes tipos, pero que puede estar anclada a un punto del territorio, ¿no? Como en este caso una lectura de estos valores de caudales, exactamente no me acuerdo ahora qué era lo que, creo que era metros por segundo, ¿no? de velocidades del agua. Se puede tener esa información, ¿no? De esa manera tridimensional, es decir, poder tener tanto toda la información que hemos ido teniendo en una base de datos, ¿no? que hemos tenido diferentes lecturas a lo largo del tiempo, aunque ahora no esté introducido en la información, podríamos ir almacenando todas las lecturas, podríamos mostrar gráficos sobre ellas, de manera que ya pudiéramos también ver esa evolución en la propia plataforma, ¿no? de las propias lecturas. Podríamos introducir las fórmulas, hacer qué nos puede pasar a futuro, ¿no? O sea, podríamos hacer ya predicciones con la información asociada a esos puntos, ¿no? Porque ya tenemos valores, podemos tener una relación de ese valor a futuro y tenemos la variable calculada a futuro, pues podríamos también hacer estimaciones de qué puede pasar. Y también la plataforma puede tener, que ya lo tiene, herramientas para actualizar los propios datos e ir incorporando las lecturas que van a ocurrir mañana o las lecturas que van a ocurrir el mes que viene o las lecturas que se hacen en una campaña determinada. Exactamente, no sé cada cuánto tiempo se hacía, o incluso automatizar la recogida de la información y que llegue sola a la plataforma. Por ejemplo, eso mismo lo hacemos con las estaciones automáticas de las meteorológicas, que ellas solas mandan la información a FTPs o almacenes de recogida de información, y el sistema tiene la capacidad ya de extraer esa información y pintarla en los mapas correspondientes, ¿no? O almacenarla. Si en este caso es manual, pues podría haber las interfaces que fueran necesarias para que los usuarios pues, entraran tanto en campo como en gabinete y actualizaran el valor, ¿no? Se seleccionaría la fecha a la que corresponde o fecha y hora y se podría introducir ese valor de lectura pues para hacer, ya digo, este almacenamiento, consulta, tratamiento o explotación de los datos, tanto informes de lo que hay como extrapolaciones a futuro con las fórmulas que fueran convenientes y tener esas estimaciones futuras. No sé si de este aspecto tenéis alguna cuestión.
Modelli di regionalizzazione che possono essere quelli dinamici tipo a 11 km oppure quelli statistici che vengono implementati proprio nel punto dove ci sono i dati osservati. Quelli statistici che in realtà erano quelli che voi li avete citati all'interno del progetto Primes, sono dei modelli statistici che abbiamo utilizzato quindi con una risoluzione di 5 km e quindi per risolvere un po' il problema dell'incertezza bisogna, è vero, utilizzare anche più modelli per vedere un po' la direzione, perché come dicevo parliamo di un campo che non è così uniforme come la temperatura. Quindi è vero, sarebbe raccomandato insomma di avere una scala spaziale molto più dettagliata quando si parla delle piogge, soprattutto delle piogge intense e così via. Sì, noi all'interno del progetto Primes, che voi l'avete citato prima, sono stati utilizzati, anzi sono stati sviluppati dei indicatori attraverso un modello dinamico, che è quello del CMCC, Cosmo CLM, che più o meno a 10 km, e poi abbiamo sviluppato anche delle proiezioni a 5 km con il modello di regionalizzazione statistica. Però parliamo dell'utilizzo di un modello dinamico e uno statistico, che sono due, vanno.
I mean, it's up to you, it's up to the decision you will make, but this should be the workflow of the platform for the Malta case study. And then I would like to show you a bit the platform, even Cesar made it before. Okay. Okay, so again, I'm sorry for the language. It was supposed to be in English, but actually in Spanish. You have meteorology here, the Copernicus and the European, climatology, extreme and average climate, and inundation, that this should be the planning tool for coastal and fluvial. And then you have an extra section here for the helps and anything you need to explain a bit the platform. I'm sorry. I hope this not gonna happen, but it seems like we have problems with the platform. I hope it's not because many people are inside right now. It's gonna be quite ridiculous that it happened. I'm sorry, yeah? Just a sec. I think they didn't take into account that too many people connected to the platform at the same way would create problems. I hope not, but it seems like we have problems. Obviously, the platform is much more responsive than it is right now. Okay, it's working. It's working. It is time, but it's working. So this is the Copernicus. As you can see, you have monthly. Okay, monthly prediction. You can move here within this time scale. Just clicking at the next month and then the next month and then the next month, moving like this. Consider that the prediction is going up to, 6 months, 1 year. Not sure, I had to ask to Cesar, but obviously if you go to September 2022, for example, you don't have any data because simply the model of the Copernicus didn't develop yet any prediction. So to show you a little bit, for example, if you want to see the precipitation anomalies for the month of May, as we can see, you won't have any anomalies this month. Maybe in June or in July, seems like something there. Or in August. In August, seems you will have a small decrease, well, in the upper part, but it won't affect the highland. This is, for example, the precipitation temperature. You won't have, well, in the southern part of the highland, it seems like you will have an increase a bit of 1 degree compared to the average. Very important. Any point you click, it gives you the information that you are showing here. Okay, so any point of the highland you click, they give you the information. Okay, you see the precipitation, and then you have the maximum temperature, and you see how it could be the path in the future. Okay, so basically this is Copernicus. It's prediction by month, and then you will have the European, which is the other, which it has daily prediction. As you can see, you see days instead of month. And the same happened here. You have more or less, actually not the same variables, but similar. And obviously the time scale is different. And you can see, you click on a point and you see how it's going to be the variation of these variables in these days, for example, between 10 of May up to 16 of May. Okay, more or less, you have good weather as always. You have in Malta, guys. And I think this is and then we can go to climatology. You have average climate and extreme climate, and here you have decades. You have the upper limits, how to say, the projection up to 2021, 2046, and 2071, I'm sorry. And you can change the scenarios, lower, medium, upper. Okay, for example, if we are showing this is the temperature, maximum temperature, okay, for the highland, the worst case scenarios, which is upper 2071, you will have more or less, actually here in the mountain it's cooler, but it seems like you have between 20, 30, 35 degrees. Or you will take information also about the number of days with the temperature greater than 38 degrees And it seems like in the worst case scenarios, you will have less than 5 days. So that's good. You will have less than here in Barcelona. And the extreme climate is the same of the average climate, but with obviously the extreme variables. And then going to the last part, you will have the planning tool. As you can see here, we have uploaded already some maps. This you can show right now is the coastal flood risk historical for 5 years routine period. So you can basically change a number. As you can see, the routine period is changing, and obviously change also the information. And as I said before, whenever you click in the maps, you will have information. For example, here in this beautiful plaza, with the redo period of 1000 here, you will have 0.5 centimeters, no, actually 50 centimeters of water in this part. And then if we could see the upper part 1000, it seems like a disaster. I mean, you will have 1 meter here in this part, you will have 62 centimeters here. The water can come up to this point, you have 50 centimeters here. Well, just to, you know, you can use this platform, you can use these maps to take into account which area are the most affected and work directly in those areas to obviously decrease this hazard and to decrease this vulnerability, to decrease the vulnerability of that area. This is just the coastal. Obviously, we miss the part of vulnerability and holds the other part. For the fluvial, actually it's fluvial, not fluvial. This is a kind of example of how it could be the vulnerability. Here you see the streets, okay? So you can select the single street and you can take out information of the street. Obviously, all this information will be uploaded with the name of the street and the currently vulnerability, but you can see all the information, okay? And the idea is to, if you want to change the vulnerability, to click on the, for example, the street and go here and insert some information. Obviously here it will be different. You can change the type of road, if it's open to vehicles, if it is closed, if you have a particular projection, protections, I'm sorry. And obviously the color will change. Now it's the default, which is violet, but it should be another color. And I'm not gonna show you the maps because, as you can see, we have errors here in the how to view it. So it's useless to show you this, and don't take into account this simulation. We have it, but obviously the visualization is wrong. And that's it, more or less. This is the platform. As I said, I'm sorry about that we missed this part, which is the main part actually. As I say, due to the cutting of the budget we have and problematics we have, we are developing this part. It's not ready yet, but it will be in the next month. I like to pinpoint this part about meteorology, which is personally I consider very interesting. Well, the climatology, as I said, is we already know what's going to happen in the next year, but about meteorology, we don't know anything what's going to happen in the next 6 months and in the next week and in the next month. So these data are personally I consider this awesome. Because, as I say, they are online, but you have to download it and treat it, and they are not uploaded, they are not updated. So this platform gives you the possibility to consult these data on daily basis and uses to make long-term seasonal planning. I'm sorry, to make seasonal planning for agriculture, energy, transportations. A bit of flood risk also, but it's harder because we are not sure that it's gonna rain in the next days, in the next weeks, but actually we can predict what's gonna happen in terms of temperatures, in terms of maximum winds, all these variables. So I hope it was clear. I hope it was clear. I hope it was.
Sul piatto la proprietà che abbiamo, che si trova, come aveva indicato Marta, si trova alla confluenza tra il Gambellare e lo Zaniolo, perché riteniamo sia un'area che potrebbe essere idonea, come dire, come si dice, ad intercettare acqua ancora prima che, come dire, che in maniera molto cospicua arrivi poi al canale d'Estrareno, che è chiaramente il nostro collettore principale.
Problemas para acceder al puerto, tendrás otra alerta, o sea, tendrás varias.
Vale. Bueno, pues ya esto está también tomado nota de las alertas. Y luego, pues no sé si queda alguna duda más sobre este tema de predicción estacional, y ya podemos pasar a climatología.
Sí, sí. Me estoy dando cuenta que hemos cometido un error, que además es mi error. Teníamos que haber invitado a Enrique el de Puertos a que viera la herramienta, pero bueno, eso ya lo haremos con tranquilidad.
Vale.
Podríamos tener este trocito de grabación
también.
Para mostrárselo yo internamente también.
Hay un problema, que es que la grabación
no está activada.
Está activada, pero creo que está activada solo por parte de César, efectivamente.
Sí.
¿No tienes permiso para grabar?
Sí.
Ahora estoy ahora lo acabo de activar.
Sí.
Claro, es que efectivamente el tema es que antes estaba grabando, pero está grabando la sala principal. ¿Qué pasa? Nos hemos salido y nadie hemos pensado que ella nos estaba grabando.
Sí,
entonces, pues justo ahora acabo de activar la grabación y a partir de aquí es cuando podréis compartir algo.
Si quieres, haz un repaso rápido de lo que hemos visto hasta ahora.
Vale, bien, pues nada, resumiendo, hemos visto las funcionalidades del Meet, tanto de meteorología, tanto de estacional como de meteorología predicción a una semana vista, que es a través del Centro Europeo, que es el modelo de referencia actualmente a nivel científico, el de mayor fiabilidad. Y bueno, pues estas son las capas. Cuando pinchamos en la herramienta, aquí en la esquina superior izquierda de capas, pues tenemos todas estas. Hemos quedado que con Mercedes y con Inés y con Raúl que habría que añadir pues la dirección del viento. A ser posible también, vamos a, si finalmente esto va hacia adelante, pues se podría incluir el viento probabilístico para saber qué probabilidades habría de superar ciertos umbrales. Luego, también se adaptará para que pase la herramienta de kilómetros por hora a metros por segundo en cuanto a la racha máxima de viento. La resolución del modelo es de 500 metros con paso horario cada 6 horas y un horizonte temporal, como he dicho, de una semana. Luego, esta información se puede exportar y además en forma de PDF. También se pueden hacer animaciones aquí. Y luego, lo más interesante es que puedes pinchar en el punto que quieras y te da la predicción de racha de viento para este punto para los próximos 7 días. también se pueden combinar diversos parámetros. O sea que, por ejemplo, podríamos tener al mismo tiempo temperatura máxima y humedad relativa, que esto sería interesante por aquello de la sensación de calor que estábamos hablando antes, aunque también se podría generar el parámetro de temperatura aparente. Aquí pues nos ponemos de acuerdo en lo que sea más óptimo para vosotros cuando tengáis más claro y lo ponemos. Aquí no habría mayor problema. Luego, también se pueden poner los límites municipales para ver claramente dónde nos estamos ubicando. Y esto por parte, creo que el resumen hasta aquí de meteorología del centro europeo sería suficiente. Luego para estacional, pues a ver si carga.
Un momentito, Tony. Hemos quedado que humedad relativa, humedad tiene que aparecer por el tema de la niebla.
Sí,
Porque
sí.
tendrá que haber una predicción de niebla, que
Sí,
me
sí.
imagino que será la manera de predecirlo.
Sí, efectivamente, la predicción de niebla se puede predecir por humedad, pero luego también veremos en vulnerabilidad que tenemos también cálculo de niebla, aunque sea a nivel de clima. Entonces, si es un campo que fuese vital para el proyecto, se podría estudiar también añadir la predicción a nivel meteo de niebla. Actualmente este parámetro pues esto se podría calcular a partir de humedad relativa máxima del día o humedad relativa, pero si por niebla entendemos que es necesario aumentar digamos o sea, mejorar el parámetro de modelo para tomar resultados, o sea, en vez de...
Και έπρεπε να μπορέσει να τα έχεις γενικά τούτα πάνω. Δηλαδή έπρεπε να κάνεις να μπορέσεις να κάνεις ένα touring μες στο χάρτη να δεις, ας πούμε.
Αυτό είναι το project φυσικά, ότι
Ναι, βρε, ξέρω το. Απλά εννοώ, θέλω να σου πω ότι θα ήθελα να μπορώ να τράβω το χάρτη και να θωρώ. Εν τούτον που εννοώ, και λέω σου να το δω.
Το σημειώσω να το δω αν γίνεται.
Ναι, ρωτά τους, why not.
Τουλάχιστον για τα κοινά, τέλος πάντων. Να το δούμε.
Για τα?
Για τις μεταβλητές που έχουμε κοινές.
Ναι.
Άλλο σχόλιο ή θα πάμε στην ενέργεια, η οποία είναι φτωχή προς το παρόν. Εντάξει, δικαιούμαστε τέτοιο διαλύματα, αλλά εγώ νομίζω να το πάρουμε σε ρί, για να τελειώσουμε πιο γλυρά και να έχουμε παραπάνω διάλειμμα. Τι νομίζετε?
Ναι, είμαι okay εγώ.
I'm okay as well.
Cool. Άρα, έχουμε το Αθηνά και το Στέγιο μαζί μας, γιατί έχει ώρα να τους ακούσουμε.
Εδώ είμαι, απλώς μπήκετε σε πιο τεχνικά και είπα να σας αφήκω να...
Σκέφτηκα το. Εντάξει, για τούτα εννοείται το manual ήταν πολλά χρήσιμο για να τα εξηγήσουμε. Και θεωρώ ότι...
γι' αυτό που...
Και στο τέλος αν τα καταφέρουμε να έχουμε και από κοντά ένα meeting ή έναν event για να κάνουμε walkthrough, οποιοσδήποτε και συναδέλφους σου θέλουν και εσύ, να ήταν πιο βολικό.
Αθηνά σίγουρα θεωρώ ότι πρέπει να μπουν όσοι παραπάνω συναδέλφοι γίνεται, ειδικά για το ΣΔΑΕΚ.
Να σου πω, το θέμα μας είναι ότι είμαστε όλοι πνιγμένοι σε το χρονικό διάστημα, γιατί μιλούμε είναι το διάστημα που γίνεται ο καθαρισμός οικοπαίδων, ο καθαρισμός των πάρκων, τρέχουσιν λόγω του ότι πρέπει να έχω συγκεκριμένα deadlines και γι' αυτό που παραπάνω είμαστε όλοι στην πρίζα. Δηλαδή, θα κρυφτώ και εγώ τώρα, ας πούμε, να ακούω σας, αλλά κάνω και άλλα πράγματα αναγκαστικά, γιατί είμαστε ήδη understaff σαν Δήμος και έτσι έχουμε αρκετά τους θέματα, παρόλο που όντως ναι, να μας χρησιμεύσουν πάρα πολλά τα εργαλεία και να ευκολύνουν και πολλά τη ζωή μας σε τέτοια πράγματα.
Εντάξει, νομίζω ότι ειδικά για το ΣΔΑΙΚ, ότι αν καταφέρουμε να το συζητήσουμε λίγο πιο πολλά εις βάθος, sorry, η Ολυμπία που μιλούμε για τούτο, ότι να μπορούμε να βοηθήσουμε και εμείς παραπάνω για να μην είναι όλος ο φόρτος για πάνω, σας καθοδηγήσουμε λίγο. Άρα μπορούμε να το δούμε και με τους άλλους συναδέλφους όταν μπορούμε. Λοιπόν, εντάξει, μπήκα στο τελευταίο το κομμάτι της ενέργειας.
Είναι και applicable και για τους άλλους τους Δήμους, ρε, στην τελική, το ΣΔΑΙΚ. Επομένως, είναι θέμα κάτι που είναι μονομένο, γιατί εγώ θεωρώ το πάρα πολύ σημαντικό. Δηλαδή παντού σχέδιο δράσης, ενέργεια και κλίμα, και νομίζω δεν είναι μόνο applicable μόνο για να να βοηθήσει και άλλους. Είναι κρίμα να με γίνει έναν έτσι overall, νομίζω.
Συμφωνώ, Ολυμπία, ότι απλώς πρέπει να κάνει ένας Δήμος στην αρχή για να μπορέσουν να ακολουθήσουν και οι άλλοι.
Και οι άλλοι, ακριβώς.
Ναι.
Για να δούμε ποιος θα είναι αυτός ο Δήμος.
Προς το
λογικά
παρόν...
ο επόμενος πρέπει να είναι ο Στρόβολος Μυρτώ, που έναν περίπου είμαστε στα ίδια επίπεδα.
Ναι.
Λόγω του live. Λογικά πρέπει να είναι ο Στρόβολος.
Αθηνά, προς το παρόν, η Λακατάμια είναι πρώτη.
Ναι,
είναι
προς το
παρόν.
Προς το παρόν.
Και γιατί να μην μείνει.
Ευχόμαστε.
Εν τω μεταξύ, έχω και το τετράδιο σας δάμε. Φαίνεται πάντως ότι κάνετε κάμποσα πράγματα. Το σκεύασα.
Ναι, προσπαθούμε.
Εντάξει, άρα να τελειώσουμε την ενέργεια για να χωρίσουμε με τούτο και μετά βλέπουμε να έχει οτιδήποτε άλλο. Εντάξει, η ενέργεια προφανώς είναι μόνο για τη Λακατάμια.
Μυρτώ, συγγνώμη που διακόπτω. Μπορούμε να κάνουμε ένα βήμα πίσω και να μας εξηγήσεις, ή τουλάχιστον να μου εξηγήσεις εμένα, τι κάνουμε τώρα με την ενέργεια, τι είναι ο σκοπός του module.
Βασικά με το project, το κάθε static case θεωρεί έναν nexus ανάμεσα σε πράγματα που επηρεάζονται. Για παράδειγμα, η Μάλτα θεωρεί το sea level rise συγκεκριμένα και τις υποδομές της. Μια από τις ισπανικές της πόλεις θεωρεί με το agriculture industry πώς επηρεάζονται. Εμείς θεωρούμε με την ενέργεια για να δούμε το energy climate, ας πούμε.
Δηλαδή η ζήτηση της ενέργειας που να χρειάζεται σαν αλλάζει ο καιρός.
Ας πούμε, ναι, κάπως έτσι, για να μπορέσουν να προβλέψουν αν υπάρχουν κάποιες ανάγκες, κάποια προβλήματα που μπορεί να προκύψουν.
Okay.
Για να γίνει τούτο, εντάξει, δώσαμε κάποια στοιχεία με την κατανάλωση ενέργειας ιστορικά, κάποια ακραία καιρικά φαινόμενα που επηρεάσαν την ενέργεια, είτε extreme heat, είτε και κάποια π.χ.
πλημμύρας. Πλημμύρα εννοώ, πλημμύρισα στην υποσταθμή ή κάτι.
Είναι τυχαία, απλά έτυχε που να καταστραφούν κάποιοι στήλοι, έτσι πράγματα που αέριδε και φυσά και νερά. Τέλος πάντων, κάπως έτσι τα σκεφτήκαμε. Δεν μπήκαν ακόμα τα παραπάνω πράγματα σε αυτό το κομμάτι για ανάλυση. Βάλαμε τους ταχυδρομικούς κώδικες. Αν πατήσεις πάνω τους, μπορείς να πατήσεις το info ή το edit. Πατώντας το info, γράφει σου εν τούτος ο ταχυδρομικός κώδικας. Τούτη είναι το area του και τούτο είναι το average daily demand βάσει των δεδομένων που τους έδωκαμε εμείς που το energy planning που έχουμε, που δημιουργήσαμε για τα ΣΕΚΑΠ. Και έχουμε το για όλους τούτο. Και επίσης, στο μέλλον υπάρχει και το κομπάκι το edit που μπορούμε να αλλάζουμε τον demand για τη χρονιά που να είμαστε, ας πούμε, να αλλάξει το average. Λοιπόν, και εντάξει, δάμε βλέπεις maximum temperature, πάλι βλέπετε ότι είναι το κλίμα, άρα είναι στο 71 και έχει στα 3 τα σενάρια, να βάλουμε το medium για να είμαστε. Και μπορεί να βάλω εγώ το καλοκαίρι, κοτσινίσε μου το προφανώς, Και πατώ το αριστερό τούτο και βγάλει μου τη γραφική που δείχνει τη θερμοκρασία, όπως την είχαμε πει στα κλιματολογικά, αλλά αν θέλω πατώ, τώρα θα βρω, τη λακατάμια. Μπορώ να πατήσω και τη λακατάμια, αλλά και τον ταχυδρομικό κώδικα. Εντάξει. Στο επίπεδο του Δήμου που το βγάλει. Πατώ τη λακατάμια.
Μυρτώ.
Ναι.
Εάν πας πίσω, πήγε πίσω. Ναι, πατήστε εδώ. Ναι, αυτό είναι το καινούριο. Αν πατήσεις στο φτερό, κάτω. Ναι, εκεί. Αυτό είναι καινούριο. Ναι, μπορεί να δεις τις climate projections στο μέλλον, ναι.
Και τα τρία.
Για άλλα τα σενάρια και...
Άρα έχουμε τα τρία τα σενάρια και αν θυμάμαι καλά, αν πας στο λακατάμια, μπορείς να πατήσεις εδώ κάτω τη γραφική και να δεις για την κατανάλωση ενέργειας, τα σενάρια. Πώς αναμένεται να αυξηθούν βάσει της θερμοκρασίας που θα έχουμε. Προς το παρόν τούτα είναι για την ενέργεια. Εντάξει, θα το δουλέψουμε περισσότερο. Αλλά μπορεί να κάνει μια πρόβλεψη για να δούμε τις ανάγκες, να ξέρει το Δήμος το planning του. Η Σόνια δεν ξέρω ποια είναι. Λοιπόν, αυτά για την ενέργεια. Δεν ξέρω αν έχουμε κάποιο σχόλιο. Τούτα τα δύο είναι το ακαθάριστον εγχώριων προϊόν, GDP, και
già in piedi tutta la progettazione per evitare di mettere l'acqua nei canali, ma fare in modo che quest'acqua venga direttamente convogliata su centrali dislocate su tutto questo territorio, che poi prendono l'acqua e la distribuiscono in pressione con rete tubata a tutte le aziende agricole. Tutte queste cose qui scontano chiaramente il fatto che allo stato attuale finanziamenti non ce ne sono, si sono recuperati finanziamenti col Piano di Sviluppo Rurale Nazionale, e con questi siamo riusciti a fare un progetto importante di circa 15 milioni di euro che va a coinvolgere 3 aree importanti a valle del CER, quindi verso nord rispetto al CER, che stiamo in questo periodo realizzando. Conto nel giro di un anno e mezzo, 2, che questi impianti siano operativi sul territorio, che appunto per cui vedremo realizzati degli esempi che poi dovremo replicare su tutto il resto del territorio. Per quel che riguarda l'uso industriale, ci sono problematiche da risolvere a livello, come si dice, politico, a livello regionale, per l'uso di queste acque. Do subito come esempio il fatto che il CER, Canale Emiliano-Romagnolo, ha una risorsa importante per il mondo agricolo, ma può essere una risorsa importante anche per il mondo industriale e civile. Già dal punto di vista dell'idropotabile, in qualche modo il canale viene utilizzato. Dal punto di vista agricolo, come detto, è nato per questo. Dal punto di vista industriale occorre mettere a punto alcune problematiche di tipo politico, direi. Poi chiaramente questa è una risorsa presente sul territorio che andrebbe giustamente utilizzata. Per cui anche coinvolgendo enti tipo il consorzio, ma anche il Conami, o per quel che riguarda quei territori, coinvolgendo questi enti, sicuramente si possono fare delle cose molto interessanti dal punto di vista della distribuzione, anche dal punto di vista industriale, probabilmente utilizzando anche gli stessi impianti che vengono utilizzati per il mondo agricolo, perché no? Però è chiaro che bisogna mettersi attorno a un tavolo e soprattutto risolvere questi problemi sia tecnici ma anche politici. Io mi fermerei qui. Grazie.
Grazie mille. Grazie. Sì, io volevo riprendere la parola perché visto che Rodica ha alzato la mano.
Sì, no, era una riflessione che per quanto riguarda, pensavo per quanto riguarda il quadro climatico, in realtà delle informazioni ce ne sono a livello regionale anche all'interno del PAESC, anche se, come ho scritto anche nella chat, solo delle informazioni, dei scenari elaborati sulle macro aree, ma comunque riguardano giustamente tutta la regione, ecco. So che recentemente è stata una nuova call per il PAESC che forse si è chiusa a maggio, il 7 di maggio. Non so se questa potrebbe essere anche una buona opportunità, insomma, per accedere a queste fonti, per poter, perché la conoscenza di quella che potrà accadere, e quindi la conoscenza climatica, penso che ormai a livello regionale, insomma, esiste già.
Certo.
Invece per poter accedere, diciamo, a questi fondi, non so se la call del PAESC oppure se è già stata avviata, non lo so.
Sì, grazie Rodica. Su questo tema del PAESC penso ci sia Valentina Caroli del nostro servizio e del servizio urbanistica che si occupa della redazione del PAESC, quindi se ha piacere riesce in questo momento.
Sì, mi sentite?
Sì, eccoti.
Ok. Sì, sono Valentina Caroli appunto e mi occupo all'interno del servizio urbanistica, energia e mobilità anche del piano di azione per l'energia e il clima dell'Unione dei Comuni della Bassa Romagna, dentro cui anche Conselice ricade. Abbiamo già aderito al primo bando della Regione, quindi stiamo già portando avanti il piano. È una decisione di circa un mese fa e ratificata dai consigli comunali, quella di passare dall'opzione 1 all'opzione 2 di PAESC, significa che i comuni della Bassa Romagna faranno un piano unico e avranno un obiettivo comune. Quindi abbiamo già diciamo, lavorato più lungamente sulle azioni di mitigazione, quindi di riduzione delle emissioni del territorio e stiamo partendo appunto con la parte di adattamento. Abbiamo seguito per costruire lo scenario locale quelle che sono le schede prodotte appunto da ARPAE per la regione, per la
mucho cambio, ¿sabes? Aunque la circulación de las borrascas, y si tú vas hacia el norte, siempre puede haber algún temporal suelto, porque si os acordáis, a nivel de precipitación, la cosa, la tendencia es a que haya un mayor número de eventos extremos, y esto incluye también sequías y periodos de inundación. Y cuando haya periodos de inundación podría haber casos como, por ejemplo, que recordaréis Gloria, que pudiese aumentar la frecuencia de ellos. Por tanto, aunque hubiese menos viento de poniente, sí que podría haber temporales marítimos y, por tanto, el número de días con vientos que pudiesen molestar y cerrar el puerto, pues incluso podrías aumentarlo. O sea, que la componente del viento en este caso, aunque no fuese de poniente, podría ser de levante y también pues fastidiar en una evolución. Y bueno, no se está trasteando esto también, pero tenemos también para temperatura. En el escenario upper, pues también para arriba, junto con el viento. Y se puede comparar también pues con la...
Con la media de verano y la media de invierno, sí.
Efectivamente. Efectivamente, aquí ya os digo, podemos trastear lo que... Incluso comparar viento de 75 con viento de 90 y comparar pues esto que me estabas comentando también, la temperatura mínima en invierno sube con la temperatura máxima de verano.
Fíjate, aquí a lo tonto da una subida ya de 4 grados. De aquí.
Sí, sí. La verdad es que sí, habría que hacer lo posible para que no se diese el escenario upper, porque la verdad es que, excepto tal vez por los vientos de poniente, para el resto de cosas, pues habría problemas. Y luego también tenemos aquí abajo número de días de niebla, que bueno, aumentaría en el medium hasta los 0,85, que sería un día de niebla al año, de media. Y luego tal vez pues podría descender un poco. Esto habría que tomarlo con su necesaria prudencia, pero bueno. En el tiempo, a través de datos observados con mayor longitud de series, a través de actualizaciones en los modelos climáticos que ya puedan tener en cuenta qué tipo de escenarios en qué tipo de escenarios nos estamos metiendo. De manera que se pueda corregir levemente esto en cuanto a esto último. Pero vaya, que aunque pueda parecer que esto es relativamente aproximado, la verdad es que es menos aproximado de lo que nos gustaría en cuanto a estos dos escenarios. que la verdad es que también asusta un poco, ¿vale? Así es que, bueno, en cuanto a me está centrando mucho en lo que son las gráficas, pero en cuanto a mapear, también se puede ver cómo se queda dibujado los campos de verdad es que esto es, la temperatura por arriba de 38 grados, la verdad es que asusta bastante. Pero bueno, podemos ver cómo sobre todo se da en la zona central e interior del Golfo, mientras que la zona de la Marina y de la Safor, pues al estar como más metida en mar, pues los aumentos de temperatura serían menor, pero no así aunque no vienen reflejados los de humedad. Porque,
No, no.
claro,
La predicción de lluvia era fina, ¿eh? Sí.
lo vengo a decir porque, claro, a mayor temperatura del mar, porque, claro, si se calienta el aire, también se calienta el mar con él. Si se calienta más el mar, aumenta también la humedad, la humedad relativa en el aire. Y esto es como una pescadilla que se muerde la cola, porque luego también desemboca en un mayor riesgo de lluvias extremas. Entonces, pues, los escenarios la verdad es que meten bastante miedo en cuanto a lo que se ven de cara al futuro. Y bien, yo creo que si no hay más preguntas y tenéis un poco claro el funcionamiento de esto, podemos pasar a ver en qué vulnerabilidad andamos metidos. O sea, a partir de los datos que nos disteis de las especificaciones de las operaciones de puerto, pues ver cómo todo esto puede llegar a afectar sí.
Sí, se acopla un poco. Pero yo estaba retirando los teléfonos y tal por si acaso era cosa nuestra.
Vale. ¿Ahora mejor?
Sí.
Ah, vale. Vale. Vale, vale. Bueno, pues no sé. Si hay cualquier...
Ότι ξέρουμε το ότι να αυξηθεί παραπάνω η ζήτηση για cooling όταν είναι παραπάνω η πυρά. Αλλά είναι τι κάνεις με την πληροφορία.
Για warning, ας πούμε, διότι, κοίτα, να σου πω κάτι, εγώ θεωρώ, δεν είμαι σίγουρη να μου συμβαίνει στις άλλες χώρες, δεν ήξερα. Ίσως επειδή αλλού είναι μεμονωμένα μόνο που είναι έναν οργανισμό.
Ναι, είναι isolated, είναι αλήθεια του.
Γι' αυτό, διότι άμα εμάς είναι για isolated προς το παρόν, είτε που μπορείς να κάνεις. Δηλαδή, έχουμε σοβαρό θέμα διαχείρισης με την νομοθεσία αυτή τη στιγμή. Και γι' αυτό ίσως που για μένα είναι λίγο περίεργο το concept. Διότι αν όντως ήταν διαφορετική η διαχείριση, ήταν να έχει όντως σημασία δηλαδή, παραδείγματος χάρη, έχει πάντα supply και έχει πάντα τον base για παραγωγή ενέργειας. Τον base πιάνουν το πάντα από την ΑΕΚ με fossil fuel. Εντάξει, και τον base, αν ήταν ας πούμε community-wise, δεν να ξέρουν τον base πόσες μηχανές να ανοίξουν και πόσες μηχανές να κλείσουν. Δηλαδή, πάντα, ας πούμε, τρέχει γίνον τον base παγκύπρια, ό,τι και να κάνουμε. Που πάνω από τον demand, αν τον demand έχει ανοιχτεί πάνω από το forecast demand, να σου το πω έτσι, αφήνουν και παραπάνω ενέργεια από τις άπε. Και για μένα που έρχεται και γίνεται τον λίγο χαμούλης. Στη δική μας την περίπτωση, είναι δύσκολο ακόμα.
Εντάξει, βασικά, εγώ νομίζω είναι σημαντικό να δούμε ποια από τούτα θέλουμε να βγάλουμε, τι που το εργαλείο θέλουμε και τώρα που τζάμε και πώς να τα χρησιμοποιήσει ο Δήμος να τα αξιοποιήσει είναι κάτι που πρέπει να δούμε μετέπειτα. Ναι, μες στο σκόπο, ας πούμε, του εργαλείου να...
Ναι ρε, αλλά είναι κρίμα να κάνουμε έτσι τελείως, έτσι πολλά, έτσι δυνατό τούλα, ας πούμε.
Παρέξει να υπάρχει και θέληση και κάνουμε. Αλλά είναι ένα συγκεκριμένο εργαλείο που έχει περιορισμένες... Ενώ δεν να σου βγάλει το planning σου. Το planning έρχεται μετά από...
Όχι, όμως Μυρτώ, είναι καλό να σκεφτούμε πώς να γίνει το planning για να ξέρουμε τι άλλες πληροφορίες μπορεί να χρήσιμες που το tool.
Για να μπορέσουν να το έχουμε στο σκόπο τους ρε, στο κάτω-κάτω. Ναι, είναι σημαντικό.
Πρέπει να ξέρουμε τι άλλες πληροφορίες να χρειαστούμε για να κάνουμε το planning και τι άλλο μπορεί να χρειαστούμε.
Ναι.
Εντάξει, άρα τούτο είναι on hold, γιατί είναι δύσκολο να τα βρούμε. Να το σκεφτούμε λίγο.
Μυρτώ, πρέπει να κάνουμε συνάντηση και με τα παιδιά στο γραφείο για τα practicalities of if you were to design an energy community, what you need για storage, what you need, και να πρέπει να μιλήσουμε με κόσμο.
Με το γραφείο νομίζω είναι καλά να προγραμματίσω μια παρουσίαση του εργαλείου για να πιάσω άλλα comments.
Ναι, ειδικά για την ενέργεια.
Να σου πω, ίσως ήταν να βοηθούσαν και έναν insight από τον Παντελή. Να που νομίζεις.
Θέλει, φυσικά. Εκείνος που είχε πει την ιδέα για Internet of Things για να γίνει κάποια integration με εργαλεία.
Γι' αυτό που το λάλλω και εγώ. Ξέρω το, απλά αυτή τη στιγμή είναι πολλά busy, ξέρεις, όπως ούλοι, όπως είπαν και η Αθηνά, και βουρά μετά.
Εννοώ, αν έχει μια καλή ιδέα για το πώς να το...
Πολλά πιθανόν να έχει να μας πει και να χρειάζεται και εκείνος. Γιατί είναι σημαντικό. Άισε να το μιλήσω, ξέρω πώς... Να δούμε και πώς είναι... Σαν να διαβάσα στο email ότι να κάνουν άλλο μια συνάντηση με τους άλλους.
Δεν ξέρω, ρε.
Ξαφεύγει.
Δεν ξέρω. Αλλά νομίζω ότι τα πλήστα μπορούμε να τα κάνουμε και για τον ύψονα και για τη λαγατάμια, άρα ας κάνουμε ό,τι θέλουν και οι δυο. Όσο μας επιτρέπει το funding και τα λοιπά.
Εντάξει ρε, εννοείται.
Ναι.
Μυρτώ, ναι. Μυρτώ μου, να ρωτήσω κάτι. Σαν guideline, μπορούμε να πιάσουμε το σχέδιο που μπήκαμε κάτω από το CRISI-ADAPT του 2030 ουσιαστικά, να δούμε τι είναι τα αποτελέσματα που θέλουμε και έτσι ό,τι περισσότερα outcomes μπορεί να βγει που το εργαλείο να μπορέσει να βγει. Δηλαδή να το έχουμε σαν guideline, κάτι σαν checklist. Θέλουμε τις μετρήσεις, ωραία, μπορεί να βγει από το συγκεκριμένο toolkit. Τσίκα, ας πούμε, και προχωρούμε.
Ναι, πρέπει να το, έχετε δίκιο, πρέπει να το δούμε δίπλα-δίπλα τα δυο για να δούμε να υπάρχει καμία. Σίγουρα για κάποια από τα πράγματα, τα plans που έχουμε και για ακραία καιρικά φαινόμενα και ξέρω εγώ, σίγουρα σχετίζονται με το εργαλείο.
Γιατί αν περιμένουμε που το Δημοτικό Συμβούλιο ή που τη Γραμματεία να έρθουν να μας πούσει συγκεκριμένα πράγματα, μόνο το γραφείο σας να μας κάνει consult και νομίζω σαν guideline είναι καλύτερα να πιένουμε.
Meeting again, maybe to have a pre-run as we did also already in January when we met the three main stakeholders, that is civil protection, Red Cross Malta, and George representing the works department, where we tested, let's say, the initial phases. We listened, we heard what the stakeholders had to say and how we could improve the model. And that is what I propose that we do also between now and September, just to again test as we will compile more information and we will populate the model with more data and more information. Now, looking at the stakeholders around this table, I would like to ask if there are any other departments or individuals whom you think or whom you see as being or could be interested in the climate change adaptation models, and that could also continue to add value like you are doing here to this pilot case. So just to remind you, at the moment we have actively involved civil protection, Malta Red Cross from the aspect of safety, first respondents, people who are actually being involved in dealing with reactions when there is a climate-related disaster. These two entities are also filling in or providing us also with information, for example, when it comes to dealing with the police department, who are also part of the first responders team. On the other hand, we have, from a water management perspective, the Ministry for Transport and Infrastructural Projects, with also teams from stormwater management, etc. In a previous meeting, we had also involved the energy water agencies. So these are, at the moment, the 5 main bodies involved. In your opinions, are there any other organizations apart from ERA, which I mentioned previously, and also the Malta Insurance Association, that you feel could be also informants as well as users of such a platform and could feed into the pilot case?
Espérate que me salgo de la sala. Me salgo de la sala principal. Alberto y Robert, sí, estáis aquí vosotros dos. Participantes. Sí, no, es que no me, o sea, no me sale, o sea, me sale moverte a, pero si te manda Conselice, ¿te sale algún aviso? Y Alberto no sé por qué está aquí. No sé si han terminado la sesión ya, porque Francisco y Paulo están solos en la sala de Andalucía. Y Miriam, ¿dónde está? pues salte y vuelve a entrar de Zoom para que me salga que estás aquí en la sala principal. Mira, te has ido tú, sí. Ah, no, estoy. Sí, entra a la sala Meteority. Me saldrá un aviso de que has entrado a la sala general. Mira, aquí sala de espera. Esa le pone Robert está en la sala general sin asignar. A ver. ¿Ahora sí? Aquí, ahora.
About is about the let's say more urban development or population growth or building of new developments in some parts of the island which are not so populated now. So they want to know to what extent the lack of application of this regulation would impact the economy on the island, etc. So which agencies would be interested in learning more about these scenarios and this financial impact? I don't know, maybe environment agencies, Ministry of Economy, Water Management and Water Supply Authorities. I don't know which agencies are involved in this type of decisions, in the application of the regulations, and etc. And to what extent these agencies have been involved in the project so far, or which agencies would be interested to bring to the table for further discussions, etc.
Okay. We will look into it. So we had mentioned previously the involvement of the Environmental Resources Authority, and that is something that is underway. We've mentioned also when it comes to enforcement of this is something that has to do with buildings, and therefore it would be the planning authority in checking the plans, the structure of buildings, not just those of an individual person that is a family on its own, say a house, but more importantly, when we're talking about large infrastructural developments such as housing, big housing structures like, for example, multifunctional units that are within a particular area. So large development of, say, 40, 50 units, housing units within one particular area. So definitely we will follow up on this. This enforcement, the law is quite old. In fact, it was one of it's a historical law that had been put in place, and several individual houses have these wells that are used for water harvesting purposes. I know, but of course, people like Marco and others involved can also guide us accordingly as to the updates of this law, which, as far as I know, has been recently mentioned, recently reintroduced, and now we will see what are its impacts. As to the agencies that would involve, we are, as I said, mentioned, we are also in touch with the Energy Water Agency. Planning Authority have been more of a supplier of data rather than actually involved in the discussion as we've had with the stakeholders, but we will identify a specific unit to involve, and of course the Environment Resources Authority. When Andrea and I were planning for this meeting, I also mentioned the possibility of involving also the Ministry for Energy as under this ministry, there are several initiatives that are taking place, especially when it comes to energy management, and in relation to that in Malta, we also have to look at water management, partly because we use reverse osmosis for the creation of potable water. And that is also a huge drain on the electricity supply of our country. So, you know, yes, that is something, a point that we will look into. If from a civil protection, health and safety aspect, I don't know if Jonathan or Janet would like to add or refer to other entities that at this stage you think we can include. If not, we will move on to the next session. Next question, next section, please.
Nothing to add from my end. I was thinking about what you were saying, but I cannot picture anyone else to add or suggest in terms of what we do.
Okay.
Yes, I agree with Jonathan. At this point in time, I cannot envisage any other entities.
Okay. What I would like, and I thought could be of interest to this discussion, is also maybe, and I don't know if maybe I can get some feedback, initial feedback from the FIC and the Aquatech team, is to look again at what we had originally presented in terms of when we were creating the state-of-the-art report, in terms of projects, initiatives that could maybe benefit or feed into, and maybe do an update of that to see if there are any other initiatives that have been taking place since the start of the project, and compile a more, let's say, recent list of projects or initiatives that we could add on onto the project. I mean, in our previous discussions, we've heard about new projects coming up or new initiatives, new policies being planned, and
y automáticamente cuando tú cambias un valor en las terminales, se te cambia automáticamente en el puerto. Porque el puerto es el sumatorio de los costes de todas las terminales. Entonces, a partir de esta metodología ya es pues todo lo que queráis definir y todo lo que queráis desgranar, pues creo que no será ningún problema hacerlo.
Para sujetar las ventanas que se queden abiertas.
Y eso sería un poco todo, vamos. No sé si tenéis alguna pregunta o...
Bueno, pues si no hay más preguntas, y antes de terminar esta sesión de grupos, nosotros sí que tenemos algunas preguntas para vosotros. A ver, son preguntas de engagement, de stakeholders engagement, que si queréis os puedo, si no hay nada que añadir ya más respecto a la parte técnica, pasamos a esto. Entonces, bueno, nos gustaría saber si hay otros departamentos o personas en su organización que estuviesen interesados o especializados en adaptación al cambio climático, en posición de agregar valor al desarrollo del piloto. Pues no sabemos si además de vosotros, los aquí presentes, pudiera haber alguien más que pudiese, pues esto,
A ver, en general, por nuestra parte, nosotros digamos que somos la cara visible, pero siempre se habla con operaciones y con infraestructura.
Vale. Pero digamos que a la hora de desarrollar esto y de conseguir, digamos, que finalmente la herramienta se consolide pues esto, que la podáis optimizar y finalmente introducir en el, o dicho de otra manera, adquirirla con los aquí presentes, digamos que no haría falta identificar a nadie más porque sois vosotros. Ahí es donde quiero llegar.
Sí, no, en nuestro caso al final, que me corrija Raúl, pero yo creo que la decisión final la tendría que tomar el director de operaciones o de explotación. Y bueno, también depende.
La rende migliore, la dico in questo modo. Quindi c'è anche un tema di qualità dell'acqua nel sistema anche irriguo per la nostra agricoltura, che se vogliamo che mantenga una fertilità e anche un successo per il futuro, ha bisogno di acqua. Quindi io direi così che ci possiamo salutare, insomma, Marta, e io personalmente vi ringrazio Marta, ringrazio tutti voi e ci diamo appuntamento sui tavoli di confronto che attiveremo in ambito locale. Poi nel frattempo questo progetto va avanti, quindi credo che in qualche modo le modellazioni che sono state, le piattaforme che si stanno mettendo a punto rispetto ai casi, come vengono chiamati, quei 4 casi, insomma, possono essere a disposizione anche per chi in qualche modo fa la pianificazione sul territorio, perché credo sia un po' questo, come dire, l'obiettivo finale, cioè fare una pianificazione che cerca anche di prevedere le eventuali ricadute anche di progettazioni per adattare e contrastare quello che sono, diciamo, gli impatti che gli scenari futuri avranno sul nostro territorio. Vi ringrazio, buona giornata a tutti e alla prossima. Grazie infinite. Arrivederci.
Grazie mille, io vi invito se volete a stare con noi anche nella parte finale, perché adesso c'è una pausa pranzo, ma poi prosegue verso le 13:50 per giusto la chiusura, se avete piacere di ricollegarvi. Mi unisco anch'io ai ringraziamenti che avete partecipato davvero numerosi, ed era importante per me che i risultati di questo progetto, insomma, arrivassero a tutti voi. Insomma, e vi ringrazio davvero per la partecipazione.
Grazie a voi. Grazie a voi.
Grazie a tutti.
Arrivederci.
And then to foster the formulation of strategic plans such as this sea cover protection plan. And then from then on for the rest of the public works, because we are a very small part of the public works department. I mean, the executive arm of the public works department is then mainly responsible for the execution and implementation of such works. So I see that the public works is not only maybe a good source where you can identify what's been done in the past and to identify data sources, but then we kind of try to be the channel for the actual implementation of the necessary measures, because it's one thing talking about tools and assessment, which are very important to start off with, because without those you might spending money in the wrong places. But then ultimately we have to get down to concrete measures. So in that sense, it's important to keep this bridge very open in terms of collaboration, and also to synergize between the development of these skills and also with the formulation of such national strategies, especially if we're using similar concepts of risk definition. It's important that we do use similar or compatible definitions of what risk is and how it's made of exposure, vulnerability, and the hazard elements as well. So I think here it's an area where we have to keep an open channel of communication.
George, what was the name of this project and which is the leading agency? Or
the leading agency is the MTIP, and the coordinating unit is my unit, the Research and Planning Unit. Just to give you a bit of background, the ministry started going into issues of coastal erosion about 3 or 4 years ago in 2017 it was, and we've started to build a team both in terms of research and also in terms of project execution on the ground. We started with very modest initiatives to manage risks by identifying the areas that are most prone to coastal erosion, which are visited most intensely by the public. So those were the areas which we identified as the highest risk areas, the risk hotspots, so to say. And we started addressing risks simply by setting up signage and making people aware. From then on, after those kind of immediate response measures that we took, we started studying the coastal geomorphology in more depth and trying to understand what's actually happening in the different areas, so we could identify the hazard element of risk in a more scientific manner. From then, it transpired that we definitely need a national strategy for coastal protection, and in that sense, mostly for public safety reasons, but also for the sake of infrastructure that might be located on the coast or which has a strategic nature as well. So in a way, the idea and the need became more clear what we needed to do, and what happened in the last six months, because I said we've been working mostly in the last 6 months. We applied for EU funding for the formulation of such a strategy, and were given a formal green light earlier this year. So now we're preparing to start the strategy formulation, hopefully sometime in October, and that will take us about 2 years to complete the strategy. After we complete the strategy, and maybe even sometime before, once we start identifying the risk priority areas, then we also plan to undertake interventions as necessary. This does not preclude, however, that even at present and even during this year, that we shouldn't intervene in certain areas where there's an obvious high risk. We don't need to wait to have the plan formalized and to go through all the analyses. But there are obvious areas. I mean, we're already intervening, and our the counterpart in the Public Works Department that is responsible for the implementation of works is already active in that area. But we always keep in mind that kind of while we're doing the firefighting in hotspot areas and trying to protect the public as much as we can, we're also aware of the need for a more strategic approach to the whole problem, which you cannot just snap your fingers and know what are the priorities. There's a lot of data to be considered, and also it's a very dynamic environment. So these tools are useful if we can understand what's happening in a dynamic environment, because that would guide us not just for the long term, but even from year to year, where maybe priorities change with time. So I think that's why we find this project as something which is very instrumental to what we're aiming to do, and hopefully we can also provide input into this project as we go along, because we'll be gathering data about the coast as well in our project, and that's where I see a lot of synergy. So it's a two-way thing.
Okay, George, thanks so much, George.
Thank you, George. We will be coming back to you as we've already communicated over.
Aplicar lo que salga de este proyecto tiene su punto de sinergia pero bueno, entiendo que también irán surgiendo nuevos proyectos y para poder incorporar esta herramienta o los frutos de estos desarrollos en ellos y poder ampliar, ¿no?, un poco esto a otros lugares o incluso a este mismo, pero mejorado. Vale. Bueno, y luego, por último, la última pregunta de stakeholder engagement sería si pueden identificar algunas nuevas... no, si esto ya lo he hecho. Pues nada, ya está.
Hemos terminado.
Pues sí,
Ostras,
sí.
qué cracks somos.
Ya estarían todas las preguntas.
Nos han sobrado 20 minutos.
Nos han sobrado 20 minutos que bueno, pues que podemos dedicar pues, a lo que queráis. Como está disponible el special chat que os hemos indicado antes.
Sí. El resumen de las funcionalidades y todo eso ahora de cara a ese último resumen de 30 minutos, ¿lo tienes que hacer tú o lo tengo que hacer yo?
Pues como veas, aquí sí, yo he estado tomándome notas, pero si...
Pues mejorarlo tú, porque igual lo tienes más claro.
Bueno, puedo hacerlo yo y si quieres puntualizar tú algo.
Exacto, sí. O si quieres que puntualice yo algo, me dice, pues Mercedes tal, y yo te cuento.
The role of the different bodies. So far, I don't think we have really said, okay, this is what we can do from our side, this is what you can do from our side. So maybe this could be something towards that we can see coming out as a proper, let's say, stakeholder engagement and systemic approach that is also harnessed by the philosophy of the EIT when it comes to looking at these projects. And this could be perhaps an end point of this project, but a starting point of a different kind of synergy in the way we work on these things. Right. The final point that we would like to discuss is eventually who would be the ultimate decision-making process, the decision-making body, that is the decision maker, who would eventually say, yes, this is a tool that we need, this is a tool that we would like to invest resources into acquiring or into obtaining for further development. So as I said, we're talking here about different ministries. I would like to ask the persons involved if they have been involved in a similar situation where there is more than one entity that could benefit from this, and who would, in your opinion, be the ultimate decision maker? I don't know if my question was clear, but basically we are talking here about the eventuality of having a model that will be used, a model that can be servicing different departments. And I would like to see who is the ultimate entity that would say, yes, we can use this. And also related to this, should this be something on a national level, or should it be something on a departmental, ministerial level?
If I might add, Nadia, I mean, to clarify your question, because I think your question is about who's going to be responsible. I would kind of elaborate on that. Who's going to be responsible for what? Because there are a lot of implications, as I said earlier, with respect to the ministry, for instance. Our ends are to actually then implement the actual measures, because that's our main function. And the idea of adding research and planning is to make all that sensible. So it's a means to an ends. But at the national level, if it comes to the function of policy functions at the national level, then it's not us. It could be EWA, for instance, or the planning authority for different reasons. For resource management, it might be EWA. For land development, it might be the planning authority. So I think there the question needs to be refined. For civil protection, for instance, it's obviously CPD. So I think different entities might be responsible for different things. Then it's a question of who's going to manage the model and then make it available to everyone. So you might need focal points in different entities. Just a suggestion. I don't know what the other entities think about this.
Yeah. Would like maybe other entities. Well, I think this involves also meeting with other decision makers as well, and elaborating a little bit more on the model. So, for example, with Jonathan, I've already mentioned that in a very near future we would meet with his superior, the person in charge of CPD, to illustrate what the model is doing and what it can do for the civil protection department. The same for search and rescue. Of course, we're dealing with Malta Red Cross, who are in their own right, their decision maker for their own area, but they work with other entities. EWA, we need to continue pressing with EWA as well to see how, again, we can synergize. So maybe at this stage, I did see Cesar here. At this stage, maybe we can identify possible bodies who could be further, let's say, engaged in the discussions moving forward. Now that, of course, the model is being populated, it's becoming more visible, it's becoming also more tangible. I think it would be easier for these decision makers also to reflect a little bit more, and this would be then our work as the partners in the project, to be engaging with these entities in a structured way, in order for them to understand better the implications. Of course, the role of persons who are involved in research, like George and his team, or the people who are at first hand experiencing these initiatives, like Jonathan and Janet, would also be helpful in passing the message through. I don't know if Cesar or Carlos would like to add something on this point, and if at this stage the feedback obtained so far is something that will suffice, and if you agree with our plans for the, let's say, coming months, and how we can develop this further, and then engage also with these entities on a one-to-one level, if need be.
Well, I guess that, according to the information provided by George, I guess that in the we'll get to a point in the future when the platform is, let's say, fully developed or almost fully developed, and in case the authorities and institutions in different agencies involved in the project in Malta decided that this is an interesting tool for them, I guess that should be a discussion between these different agencies to make a decision on which one is going to be, let's say, the main administrator of the platform, and this will be probably the agency to make the final decision on hiring some services or etc. So this is at least what I've understood this far. Please, George or any other colleague, correct me if I am wrong.
That's quite correct. Because I mean, it's a question of identifying which functions are important to address, and then it's a question of who's going to manage the platform, the tool, and then how we're going to keep the lines of communication open with the different entities who are fulfilling functions to address these problems at different levels, so that we would be kind of all on the same page. With each of us having different plans or different tools and coming to different conclusions about priorities, because that doesn't sound good. I mean, to be acting in different way. I mean, the idea is to have a good coordination structure. Ultimately, it doesn't matter who's leading in the end, as long as we're all talking the same language and understanding the same problem in the same way.
Yeah.
Coordination is key, I think, in this sense, as it is in most other environmental problems.
Yeah, I think, I mean, that is a valid observation, George. And as local stakeholders together, we need to, start honing in on the main entities, even more so than we have done so far, in a sense that although these entities have been identified, they at this stage, let's say they have not been seen as the crucial entity to involve in a decision process. Now that we are in an advanced stage, it would be opportune now to start engaging with more how shall I say, targeted objective in mind, to help them to visualize the merits, let's say, of this tool, and what it could also do in terms of decision-making processes. So this will be the focus of the work in the coming weeks. I do not know if there is some other points that we would like to add from the various points, or for the various entities engaged in. I would like to ask FIC representatives and Aquatech representatives if there is some other point that you would like us to illustrate at this stage, before maybe we start doing like a quick wrap up of the session.
Well, nothing else on fixed side, and I guess that we have like 5 minutes left before the lunch break. Well, thanks so much. It's been very interesting, and I don't know, maybe colleagues from Aquatech would like to add something, or
from my side is okay. I don't know about Beniamino. Take it on.
Yes, that's it. All it's okay. We are agree. We are perfectly agree.
Okay. Right. Thanks everyone for your attendance and contribution today. May I ask people to switch on a little bit their cameras, please, for a couple of minutes, for me to take a screenshot. Just a second, because I have something here in the screen obstructing my vision. Yeah. Okay. So try to give me your best smile if you can. The smile before lunch. Thank you, everyone. And just a sec. Okay, and I'll be in touch, and I value much your contribution today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nadia.
Thanks
Thank
a lot,
you.
everybody. Thanks for the time with us.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye. See you.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
What time are we back? Nadia, please.
We will be back at 1:30. 1:30.
Half one, yes.
1:20. 1:20.
Yeah.
1. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. See you. Bye-bye.
So, welcome everyone. I'm seeing that there are still
Hello.
quite a lot of people that's still out of the room.
Hi. Hi, Cesar.
So, I don't know if you take advantage of this time to go have lunch. Here in Spain, we still have like more hours still to wait, so we've been around. So, how are your rooms? I've been switching from one to another, trying to follow up more or less the conversation and seeing if there were any type of doubts that I could maybe solve or just give support. So I'm pretty happy of how the things were, but when we still have these 30 minutes ahead to let you summarize the work that you've been doing and maybe have a little bit of a chatting or discussion of all next steps and things that we could improve. Let me see.
Cesar?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hello.
Hi, Paulo.
Very short question.
Sure.
Are there any recordings of the sessions that we can see after or no?
That you can?
That we can watch after. Because I was in a room, but I was thinking,
I know that all the sessions were recorded because I've been checking. I guess that after the meeting, I should be asking to each of the facilitators to give me access to them, since I guess that the recording should be in a local file. But yeah, I'm sure that if you wanna check them out, I'm sure that there shouldn't be a problem.
Okay, thank you. So I'll contact you later.
Don't worry. So I don't know, maybe we can start with the Conselice case, which is the main one here in the workshop. I don't know. I guess that it's you, Olana, the one who's gonna.
Yes, here I am. Let's unmute me. Hi, everyone. Yes, it was quite a challenging morning this morning. We had a lot of people attending our session, and it was quite interesting. I will try here to mostly read my points that we did this morning during the various interventions from various people from institutions and private sector. So the session went that we presented the case, the meted CRIT instrument. It was presented by my colleague Davide Scapinelli, and then followed the presentation of the Malta. I cannot. Do you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, let me mute Nadia maybe.
It's okay. So then Luca Locatelli, he presented the Malta case study, but that was much more developed with respect to the Conselice study. And that this raised very interested in the various interventions that followed. So Mr. Cacciamani, he was from the Regional Agency for Prevention, ARPAE, which is the regional agency of Emilia-Romagna region for prevention and environment and energy. He sustained that these scenarios are very useful, but he stressed that we need to manage the uncertainty of these scenarios because the errors could be very high. So especially when it comes to downscaling. So when we are going from 1 kilometer to 1 kilometer. And then he was stressing about this. His colleague Tomosei Radica, okay. She was also retaining that we should be used to solve the uncertainty problem, and that the spatial scale should be more detailed. ARPAE has carried out similar scenarios in other projects using CMCC scenarios with a spatial resolution of 5 to 10 kilometers. So they are suggesting to use both dynamic and statistical models. And something similar was also done in CRISI-ADAPT project. It was an Interact project between Italy and Croatia, where multimodal approach was used. So the next intervention was of Mr. Sabatini. He's the director of Masari Farmers Cooperative. And this is a big, huge agricultural sector cooperative. They manages more than half of the rural territory in this area of interest. They are also very interested to this tool, especially as regards flooding phenomena. But obviously, as a private, they need to coordinate with the authorities to understand which are the interventions and measures to be undertaken in the future. The session I forgot to tell you that the session was coordinated and anchored by Marta Quaranta and Paola Pula, the major of Conselice, as they know very well their territory, and especially the people that are involved in this workshop. So the next intervention was from CONAMI. CONAMI is the consortium of multi-service companies, and they need to work on the availability of water. This is the demand points here, but maybe later I will gather them better. And they are working together on a feasibility study with HERA. HERA is another company of this territory. And they are going to prepare a feasibility study under the request of the Major Paola Pula. So this was also the occasion for these many subject and actors to be put together to discuss the necessity of the territory and the future feasibility for the future projects to be put in place. As the Land Reclamation Consortium, Mr. Cangini, he has a very clear idea of the problems of the territory in the terms of hydraulic safety of the consortium channels, and both with regard to the local rainfall and the rainfall on the wider scale. The territory is furrowed by rivers that take water from the hills and carry it towards the sea and are often overflowing. And then there is a great risk for the population as well. So this consortium, they are well aware of the critical points and the areas that are most in difficulty. They claim that there is a need, that they found this tool very interesting, and they would like to know better what happens by simulating this application for certain measures to be put in place in the future. Another intervention was from the Office of the Sustainable Energy Plan of the Union of the Municipalities of Bassa Romagna. They have done a lot of work on mitigation actions. They have made the adaptation sheet, but the tools produced by these projects are also very useful. And they are also collecting suggestions regarding the multi-long-term risks analysis for the various sectors in the area. So the intervention from HERA. HERA is the multi-business, what is HERA in English? It's a multi-utility. It's a multi-utility in a team of energy and environmental services to citizens and businesses. So they are also available to develop scenarios analysis with respect to the evolution of hydro-industrial demand. And they are available to verify the integration with the water collected in the potential basin in view of reduction of groundwater withdrawals. So the next intervention was, the last intervention was from Savelli, from Unigra. They also said that these models are very important. And the great importance is the integration with local authorities and the territorial planning that should be improved. Unigra is a unique agri-food company. That's all as regards the interventions from various actors that were involved. So I don't know if you have some question about this. We have recorded this session. Fortunately for us, and unfortunately for many of you, is in Italian, so we are all available to provide you any further explanation. So I will not bother you with further discussion that developed here between the major and these companies, and regarding the future developments that are not the subject of our project. It's not stressed, that are not so connected to our project. So that's also the time.
Okay.
For you.
Thank you very much, Anna. Don't worry about the recording. I mean, it's the main point of this was to let you feel more comfortable speaking in Italian than to easily recording to the rest of the consortium.
Yes, I know, because that's why we managed involve so many actors to participate.
I guess this is a positive thing of having virtual workshops, because if this thing finally were being presential, like before the pandemic, I guess that most of the things should have been done in English, and that could be also a handicap for some of the stakeholders. So, well.
Yes, unfortunately, we figured it out at the fourth workshop, or the third, I know.
Well, we can learn from everything, I guess.
Yes, learning by doing.
So, I don't know, maybe next, I think that the other room that was really crowded with participants was Malta. So maybe Nadia wants to take the floor.
Hi, good afternoon. Yes, in fact, we had 16 Maltese participants in our room, and that's not counting the teams from Aquatech and FIC, who were also present during our discussion, which was also useful for, it was useful to have them also in our room. So the representatives of the persons present came from different areas. We had civil protection, we had Malta Red Cross, and we had also then the Ministry for Transport and Infrastructural Projects, who is responsible in under various departments to different aspects of projects related to water. So we had people from the coastal erosion, people studying river basin plans. We had persons also who are responsible for coastal development, water management, plus also the presence of two hydrological experts who are also currently working with the Ministry for Transport and Infrastructural Projects. So some of the persons had already met before in the workshops we've been holding since December with the local stakeholders. Others were completely new. So we started off by giving a little bit of an overview of what we've done so far. And then Andrea gave a detailed presentation of the project, as well as the platform, the tool, the CRISI-ADAPT tool, and its current state of development. We then had a discussion focusing mainly on eliciting other points that we can develop further, and also on identifying further work or further development that we can do with the local stakeholder groups. So if I take you through the main, let's say, points that we discussed. So we are seeing that the model is so far has been, tested from safety perspectives, from water management, and also we raised then questions about not just the management of the water, but also water harvesting and the role of a law that was previously in action, but no longer fully enforced. That is, houses have by law to have water harvesting cisterns, and we agreed that we will be looking into this to see how it can then influence the model, if in any way. We also mentioned that the model has been and is being tested from risk and also from vulnerabilities aspect. So these are, let's say, the next steps of the model and how it will be presented. We also have identified that between now and September, we need to meet again with the stakeholders, both those present today, to see how the model will be evolving, and then also to show the final, let's say, the final results. We have also identified some entities that could also help and contribute not only to the further development of the model, but also for future activities involving policy. And therefore, we have identified entities that we will be discussing with further. Then we also identified links with possible projects and possible strategies that could continue to synergize, let's say, with the project, and then with the aim that once the project is finalized, we could identify a place of for this project in policy, further policy development for Malta when it comes to management of water in particular. I think the session was not as animated as usually, because usually we have some more animation going on, but probably it's because the team is now working closer to each other, and therefore we have covered quite a lot of ground already. But I think it was also useful in highlighting new steps forward to the further development of the tool, and also then its eventual uptake by the local authorities. I think that fairly sums up the discussions we've had in our room. I don't know if Andrea or any member that was present would like to add something if I have missed out on any of these points.
Everything's clear from my side. Thanks, Nadia.
Great then. Yeah, I think that my colleague Carlos was able to attend the whole of the session in Malta. The few times that I got into the room to check how it was going, I saw that he was talking to you and asking questions, so I can come back later to him to see if maybe he wants to talk to me about some other points or suggestions that he'd like to make, because I think that he's not right here. Oh yes, he is. Well, don't worry. So let's move forward to the rest of the cases, and then if we have maybe some time left, we can discuss a little bit about the things that we've been working on. Maybe we can move forward to the La Catania case with Mirto.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
All right. I saw Cesar sneaking in our room a couple of times, but I don't know if you understood much. So
No. I tried.
All right. So many of our comments were a bit more technical, let's say, from the municipality and also from some of my colleagues. A general comment that we got is that it would be good to create some sort of training manual or even training videos, also for other colleagues from the municipality to know how to use the tool, but also due to staff turnover for future colleagues to have the instructions on how to use the tools. And of course, that would be, we said we would have some sort of face-to-face, maybe training session later on, once the tool is completed, to make sure we answer all the questions. All right, we had some other technical issues and questions about the tool. For example, it would be good to have the wet bulb index in the one of the indicators in the tool, because it's what we use to determine if it's too unbearable for workers to go out, for the municipality or for vulnerable people. So that would be a useful index to have. And also La Catania, through another project, has some air quality sensors, and they have that data uploaded on a website, but they thought it would be useful to see with the programmers of our tools if it would be possible to integrate that data in Crit and Meet just to have everything in one platform. And we'll have to see if that's possible. And then just very minor details is maybe for the boundaries of the municipalities and so on, because they are shaded, they interfere a bit with the color coding. So
Okay.
we would like to have only the outlines maybe for the
just the boundaries, right?
Yeah, exactly. Now for the climatology, it would be useful to also have the anomalies, if possible, for precipitation especially, because climate models for Cyprus, from what we know, show that maybe average precipitation doesn't change much, but the distribution is way different in the future. So maybe the anomaly would be more useful. And also having some rolling maximum temperatures for extremes as well. We have the ones in the average, but maybe also for the extremes would be useful. And yeah, another comment was maybe would be useful to also be able to see other countries as well. Like the tool is limited to only on Cyprus, but we know that we have the cases for Malta and so on. So just to have access to those as well, it might be with other login details, but it would be useful to compare with other similar countries, especially Malta. As for energy, yeah, the tool is pretty at early levels, let's say. It's useful to see. I think going forward, what we discussed is that we will have some time on our own in our teams and in the municipality to think how we could best use the tool to create strategies and planning for the future, so that we work backwards to see what we need to see in the tool. For example, we had the discussions about the solar panels in the municipality that currently are part of the national grid, but maybe in the future, if they are looking to see how a smart grid could be created in the municipality, maybe it's useful to also have this data embedded in the postal codes. Those were some general comments. Yeah, I think that's enough for now.
Yeah, pretty specific to be general.
True.
No, but great. I mean, those are most. I was able to listen to you while you were discussing, and I also agree that, of course, there could be quite a lot more things to be displayed on the tool. I also said that, well, related, to the energy section, of course, it's specific to you. There's still a lot of work to do. But regarding meteorology and climatology, we are most of our data. One more of them are produced by us. But for example, in the case of meteorology, there are other type of data, the ones that we load from the ECDMWF, that of course we could check if it would take too much work to upload other type of variables or to produce derived variables, like you said, the heat index. Because I know that in places like the Mediterranean, with the heat and the humidity, it's really important to know. Also, I think also in the Po River basin, it's really important because they get a lot of humidity in summer, and this comfort index is pretty high. I see that Alana is saying. Don't worry. I mean, we are closing up in 10 minutes. So let's just move forward to Andalusia and Valencia case, and just let Alberto and Tony tell us about what they've been discussing, so that we can wrap this up and say goodbye. Maybe, I don't know, Tony, for example, for the Valencia case. or Alberto, I don't know, the ones that comes first.
Oh, okay. I can explain now. So
let's try to take 5 minutes maximum so that we can close up.
yeah. Okay, we were only three participants from the stakeholders, and well, we were from Valencia Port and from Sagas from Sagunt. Well, we present the CRISI-ADAPT tool, and we received some inputs and suggestions for some details of the tool in order to adjust the tool from the port sector needs. Then some examples of these adjustments suggestions were about that could be interesting, that the system could advise or submit some alerts for, when any event with some risk for the activities of the port could happen. So had been talked that it could be customized for in order to adapt the thresholds to the needs of the end user. So another suggestion was about the apparent temperature, because in Valencia and in general in the Mediterranean coast, this temperature is very important for in summer for the workers in order to find thresholds to stop the activity of the workers for their security, in order to avoid heat strokes and
strokes. That's
yeah,
fine.
okay. And they also suggest some corrections for the seasonal prediction. And when Iñaki from Meteorid explains the vulnerability part, suggests that we maybe have to correct the wind estimation, because the weather stations are not on the same height of the sensors that stop the matching activity. So these are little adjustments that we in the next weeks we will adjust. Finally, about the stakeholder engagement questions, there were some inputs also about the champions identification and the add value of the development of the pilot case. We have now identified who are the people who is who needs
who's in charge of
yeah, correct, that's it. And in fact, we are recorded the session, and he will watch the video, and then he will receive a first input of the tool, and then if it's more or less that they are expecting, then we will have another meeting to
explore, yeah.
to explore it and know the tool deeply.
Okay.
Then about the
yeah, I mean, just because...
another windows of opportunity, maybe the Valencian government could be another possible another maybe
client.
future
Potential client.
sí, potential client, exactly.
I mean,
And summarizing, that's all. I don't know if Mercedes want to add something else.
Yes, there are potential, well, once you have the prediction or the forecast models for the impact of the climate change, this could be used by several local authorities that in this moment are developing the local or the regional strategy for adapting to the climate change. In particular, the ports of Valencia, Sagunto and Gandía depends of Puertos del Estado, which is the national body, the national main body that manages all these ports, but the local government, the regional government, also manage other ports in which or they could take profit of the tools that we are developing by adjusting the results to the real situation. But this is one of the potential cases. Also, it could be very interesting to analyze the impact of the climate change over important areas such as the Albufera, which is a protected area in which we are detecting problems of eutrophication and others due to the high number of nutrients and nitrogens that are receiving from other sources of water. And that could be increased in the future due to the extreme raining, followed by periods of extreme drought.
I don't mean to be rude, but just not to run out of time, if we could move to Alberto, and then we just wrap up to let everybody go, because I know that Olana, for example, they have to go to another call.
Well, that was really rude.
Come on, Carlos. Go, Alberto.
Okay, thank you very much, Cesar. Okay, so I'm going to be very quick. So for the Andalusian pilot case, we also made the presentation of the CRISI-ADAPT tool, and we also gave the Andalusian end users the credentials for them to start in these testing periods to access to the tool and test the different functionalities. We had different technical questions regarding the sources of the seasonal information, but also about the hydrological models that we have integrated in the platform, since the Andalusian pilot case is focused on the hydrological droughts. Also, we had also some questions and a little bit of a discussion about how to integrate and implement the adaptation measures scenario in the tool. So how the different calculations of impact are updated when these changes are included in the platform. And also some a little bit of our discussions about how the impact calculations for the environmental impact calculations are made in the platform. Also, we have some questions regarding the impact of the platform itself and how this platform could be integrated in the decision-making processes of the Andalusian government, and this was related with next steps and how this tool could be useful as a basis for the implementation of the adaptation program that is currently going on and is being designed in Andalusia. And also this platform was there were a little of an interest from the flooding department of the Andalusian government. So we expect to make a meeting with them in the next weeks, so we can show them also the platform and show the different potentialities and the value that it can provide also for assessing flooding impacts. And that was a quick summary of how our session went, and that's everything from my side.
Okay, thank you very much, Alberto. So I think it's time to leave. I first want to really thank you all for your assistance, for attending the meeting here, for letting us come with you here and give us your support and your feedback. Both facilitators and people working in CRISI-ADAPT, and also the stakeholders that agreed to come here, invited by us. I would also like to ask, in this case, all of you facilitators to forward me the notes that you've been taking in your respective sessions, so that I can merge them in a whole big document and share with you in a couple of days, hopefully, so that we can also forward it to our colleagues in MetaGrid and count with all the feedback and suggestions that the stakeholders made to keep improving the tools. Being said so, that's all on my side. I don't know if you want to make any quick suggestion. If not, I can let you go and see you tomorrow on the project committee meeting, the ones that we have to see each other. Nothing? Okay then.
Bye.
So have a nice
Thank
evening
you.
and see you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.
Yes, thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, thank you.
Bye bye.